All right. Welcome to episode 99 of the Beer Bullshit Show. Woo! I am your host with the most, Chris Bennett. And in 3 weeks will be episode 100. So we're going to hopefully have an all-out kind of thing on in 3 weeks. 2 weeks from today is my son's birthday. He'll be 17. So, 17-year-old kid at home. Can you believe that?
It's a scary thought, ain't it?
Yeah, it is a scary thought. It is a scary thought. But he's a good kid. He's a good kid.
Well, as his father, I'm positive with the right upbringing, so I have no worries with you.
Yeah, he's parents make mistakes. I've made quite a few, and but they weren't life-threatening or anything. So, so anyway, we should have Jim Babb on soon here, and I got a special guest on. He should be popping in about 20 minutes. So,
Is this what's the theme of the show tonight, Chris?
The theme of the show tonight is we don't want to look at your bare ass, Shane. Okay.
I appreciate you guys hanging with me. I had to take a hot tub. Okay.
Where are you?
Frozen in La La Land, evidently.
Obvious.
Yeah.
Hey, Shane.
Yeah, buddy.
Where are you?
I'm at the Ramada.
The Ramada where?
In Colorado.
Oh, in Colorado. I thought you were on vacation again. I thought you were on vacation again.
I stay at this hotel like 15 times a year.
Oh, get the perks. He's like, dude, I get the perks, so I got to stay here.
Yeah. Oh, tonight is comped. Yeah. So we got the fancy room with some snacks here.
Oh, nice. Look at that.
We also have some bad beer. Okay. Some Budweiser.
Oh my God! Take that off. Please.
Set her home.
That's just plain mean.
Oh, yeah, I know,
so we
right?
And then there's some high fructose corn syrup things here. But yeah, they treat us good, and I need a hot tub once in a while, and just to chill out. And
well, although I love his enthusiastic approach to this as well. At least he's got a female roaming the halls, because of the fact that I was getting a little curious. I mean, I was like, you were a little suspect there for a while.
Well, yeah.
Yeah.
I believe that is your daughter, right? I believe that is your daughter, right, Shane?
I don't care who it is.
Yeah.
I don't care who it is.
Yeah. I actually don't spend all my time alone. That's my daughter. So I'm not just always alone. I'm just alone like for maybe 23 hours and 57 minutes a day.
But at least you involve your child.
Hey, you don't know my theme song is George Thorogood's "I Drink Alone."
Yeah.
Well, I'm like, mine is George Thorogood's, "Who Do You Love?"
Yeah. Oh yeah, definitely. That's a good one. I do prefer.
Wait, Scott. Doesn't Sam Adams use that for a commercial?
Thank you very much.
You tried to pull the fast one on me, didn't you, Scott?
Yep. Nice.
I can already tell this is going to be a good show.
And there you go, my friend.
Yeah, that's really common. And I'm doing a common thing here too. A Stone is my go-to thing. It's like my Sam Adams.
Yeah,
I like Stone an awful lot.
Yeah, I'm a big stoner.
Stone is good.
I was gonna get stoned, but then I got high.
Oh God.
I was gonna smoke a joint, but then I got high.
So is that what you're starting off with, Mr. Shane?
Starting off.
He's like,
for the show or for the day?
For the show.
He's like, it started at 9 o'clock this morning.
we need to define things a little bit. Yeah, but the Ruination is superb. It is a liquid poem to the glory of the hop.
Ruination has always been a killer beer. That's the one that got me into IPAs, especially like double IPAs. 21st Amendment Back in Black got me into IPAs in general.
Right. Hey Scott.
What's up, man?
Isn't there like a double Ruination, and then isn't there a triple IPA that they have?
They have the Enjoy By, and then they have
Hail to the Hop Thief.
They do have a triple IPA. I can't remember it off the top of my head.
I haven't seen that yet.
Stone,
maybe I tried it and forgot.
Every time I go to the brewery, Chris, they've got 5 million different things going on. They've got a bunch of different drink lines. They've got a bunch of different variations of it. So I mean, everything that they've done off the Ruination and any of their IPAs, or I mean, even any of their stouts, even I mean, they've just done some killer beers.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, Rick
totally
hates
agree.
IPAs, and he can go to Stone and find a million beers that he likes.
Oh,
This
definitely.
this is the 2.0. The Ruination is a 2.0. So it's a double IPA. The Hail to the Hop Thief is a double IPA. I like that. That's nice.
Well, I really enjoyed the traditional Ruination. The 2.0 wasn't bad, but I can definitely taste a big difference between the original and the 2.0.
Right.
Everything that they've done with their Enjoy By series is really good. I used to have all of the bottles for Stone. Even their anniversary collection, I went all the way back to, I think it was like their original black IPA, and that was Ruin. That was their 14th anniversary. And that's what turned into Stone Sublimely Self-Righteous.
So, all right, Scott, you're drinking the Boston Ale, correct?
Mhm. Yes, sir, I
Amy,
am.
would you wind up starting off with?
I ended up starting off with the Dino S'mores, which is a Russian Imperial Stout. Obviously a s'mores. It's 10.5 ABV. And their supposed secret ingredients are marshmallow, vanilla bean, molasses, graham flour, and cocoa nibs. But anyways, it's out of your home area
nice.
up there in Illinois. And it doesn't taste like a 10%er.
Which is always a
It's
good
very
thing.
good. It's very true to the flavor for what they were trying to put into it. It's got a lot of sweetness, a little bit of chocolate. You can taste the graham cracker on the back end of it, but it's very good. I'm pleased with it.
Nice.
Awesome. And I'm drinking the Ommegang Lovely Dark and Deep Oatmeal Stout.
Ooh,
So
that almost doesn't even sound like a beer.
I was going to say something about that, but I was going to be like, nah, it's not right for me to say it.
Well,
yeah,
Chris said
yeah.
Chris
Chris
did say we needed to keep the show a little cleaner.
So
we'll
there it
just
is.
leave it at that.
Well, once our guest comes on, maybe we might want to keep a little cleaner. But until then, we could just be ourselves as normal.
Generally, I would prefer that in almost all general possibilities because remember what I was talking to you about before, Chris? I might need to do a refresh. But I have recently been officially ordained as the constitutional Congress or like chairman for my county.
Ooh.
I was kind of wondering what was going on with you. I was actually going to call you and
good for you.
try to get a fill in. I almost called you this afternoon actually, trying to figure out what's going on with that.
I was home all day because of the fact that we got snowed in today.
I did notice that you had like a bunch of stuff going on. You know, you were kind of changing stuff up a little bit. So.
Oh, definitely. I went through my Facebook and I seriously cleaned it all out. I got rid of a lot of the beer groups that I was in. I got rid of a lot of the people that, that I just don't comment on their stuff or they don't comment on my stuff. So I just went through and cleared out Facebook altogether, kind of doing a clean house operation and keeping you guys around because, what's life without you guys? Right.
We made the cut, you guys. We made the cut. Yeah.
I wasn't sure where you were going and what you were trying to do. I'm kind of looking at kind of the same kind of thing up here for what it's worth. I talked to Chris about it a little bit, but I haven't really talked to anybody else. But yeah, I get it. I know. I totally get where you're going and what you're doing.
That's why I was just like, I kind of wanted to I wanted to extend the olive branch to the people that I still consider my friends and the ones that I hold dear to my heart. And it was just like, you guys have been around since, the very beginning when I was doing, my beer reviews and et cetera, et cetera. And it was just like, I've shared a lot of, political ideas and political talk with you guys as well. And, I wanted to get rid of the bad and keep the good.
Well, we might be a little trifling, on the front end, but when it really comes down to brass tacks, we're all the real deal. So
think about how we can boost your public image, like how refined and respected we are. And how that helps.
Isn't it a little too early for the bullshit here?
Yeah, I was gonna say I didn't think we quite hit that portion. Yeah.
He was like, I kind of hit that nail on the head a little early, but it's all good.
Yeah,
I was being completely sincere.
Scott, your first appearance on the Beer and Bullshit Show was episode 20.
Wow.
Which was like 3 years ago.
Wow, it's been that long.
Yes. And,
damn, you're old school.
I think I contacted you because I liked your beer reviews.
Yeah,
and I remember that. Hey, I gotta get this guy on the show, and then we've had your buddy Dave on here a couple times, and so
man, it's been a long time.
Your first appearance was been friends that long.
That's awesome.
Dare I say I'm the newbie, and I've been on here for a couple of years now myself.
Well, Shane was originally one of the original.
Was on episode 2.
Beer and Bullshitter. On episode 2. That's correct.
Yeah.
So
on episode number 2 with Garrett Fox.
Garrett Fox and Annie and Rob
James
Pepe,
Babb.
James Babb, me.
Yeah.
The original cast.
That was dank. That was dank, and the show has only grown in its dankness, like big time. We could be a meme.
Well, one thing one thing that I can say for myself that makes me very proud is I've never exposed my breasts on the Beer and Bullshit show.
Yeah, but the ones that have been are just like pancakes. I'm like, dude, seriously, if you're gonna do that kind of stuff, at least have something.
At least have a nice rack, right?
Right. I mean, it's like filet mignon compared to like corn on the cob.
I think I was in Zion.
I have been one of the very well-behaved females on the show.
Yes, you have.
So
I think I was during that event. I was not on the show because I was.
No, you weren't. Thank God you weren't, because you would be scarred for life.
Well,
I had politely excused myself for the evening.
There's a certain number of people that walked in on Grandma and liked it. I'm not one of them.
But yeah, overall, I mean, out of everything that I've done so far within the last, I want to say, dude, I've been changing everything up for like the last 6 to 8 months in my life, and I've quit smoking altogether. I've cut down on my drinking. Besides, with you guys, I'm only drinking, weekends and occasion or special events, and I've just been hammering hardcore on like local, opposition, local, things that matter. I'm just happy to finally I got some recognition, and I don't know, see where we can go with that from here.
So did you quit smoking altogether?
Oh yeah.
I
haven't had a cigarette since before Thanksgiving.
I would say I quit smoking about a month ago, but I still have a vaporizer.
Yeah.
Like little thing kind of going on.
Yeah, it was like one day that I got up and I was like, well, damn, I only got 3 cigarettes before work, so I'm gonna sit here and smoke my morning cigarettes. And then by the time I got done with them, I just looked at it and I was like, you know what? I said, damn, man, I'm done with my cigarettes. I put my ashtray on the floor, and it was out. It was cooled. I'm like, man, I feel my hip because I am a carrier, and I was like, all right, take the money that I spend on cigarettes times a week, and then times that by a month, and then times that by the 52 weeks. And I'm like, man, look at how many guns that I could afford.
Yeah.
I'm like, amen, brother. So that's why I have not picked up another cigarette since then. I'm buying guns.
Good for you. Good for you. Ooh. I see Jim Bev's smiling face.
I see too, man. 2 thumbs up. Welcome, man.
It's about time you came and joined us again, Mr. Jim Bab.
It's been a while.
Sorry, and great to be with you guys.
So what are you having, Mr. Jim Bab?
Okay, I have a beer that I bought. I kind of said this before that I do this, but I bought it because it looked disgusting. It's coconut-centric. I don't know what they're calling it. Toasted coconut and hops. Anyway, it's some kind of coconut water IPA. Okay, is that possible? It's from
it is.
It's from
Oh, okay.
Dogfish Head. Dogfish Head.
I suppose anything is possible. So.
And to be honest with you, their beers are gone downhill.
I've never been a big fan of Dogfish at all. And the idea of putting coconut in an IPA sounds terrible as well. So.
And the first ones to ever do it was a homebrew contest that was being put on by Stone Brewing Company. And they're the ones that originally did one of the big first coconut beers. And then from there, the dude that actually helped brew this beer, he was a beer reviewer. Ryan, I can't remember his last name.
What are you talking about? The first coconut beer?
Yeah, from Stone.
Well, what was their style? What kind of a style was it?
If I want to be, I think it was a coconut stout.
See, I think with a stout, you see it with stouts or porters even more commonly, and that kind of makes sense. And I'd probably love it in a nice like imperial stout.
It sucked.
This sort of tastes like have you ever been to like the beach and accidentally like got suntan lotion in your beer?
Ew.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. That's kind of gnarly.
I just really, for some reason, I was in the mood for, I've needed to have some kind of beer that I hadn't had before. I wanted something to challenge my sensibilities with beer. So I think this does that, but it's kind of predictably not so great. But
Sorry.
I'm still gonna drink it. I'll get halfway down and then report back. So
What are you drinking, James?
Hey, not to interrupt. How do you guys, when I send an invite for the hangout, how do you guys get on?
Generally, I see it in my like Hangouts, and then I will like just click on the like the group message. When I click on it, it'll open up another box, and then there's a green like long tab there that says your enter video call, or like right now it's already states that you're in a video call with, and it shows everybody that's already here.
Okay, because I'm trying to get one more person on, but he's having troubles getting on.
I use the Hangouts app on iPhone, and
that works.
You know, the Hangouts app is really good.
Well, generally, I have been doing it by my cell phone, but you know, now
also Chrome.
tonight I'm on the computer. But
yeah, if they're on Chrome,
yeah, you've got to do it through Google.
Just open if you're on Chrome, you just open your Gmail up, and then it just prompts you through everything. If you're on an iPhone or one of those other smartphones, you just get the Hangouts app. You just type in Google Hangouts and one word, you know, HANGOUTS. And
right.
It's got a little icon that's all like green with like the thingies with the messenger bubble, but it's got some white stripes through it. It's
right.
Kind of, yeah.
I also have an app on my PC for Hangouts that just, I guess I open the app and I can see the invite right there, and then I click it, and then it still goes through the web page, so it's kind of redundant, but depending on what account you're logged into or something, like on your Gmail, you might not see that or not. Like,
what's the name of that app?
It's called Hangouts or whatever.
Yeah, Hangouts. There you go. Yeah, so
it's called Google Hangouts, I think. It's like an app that just runs on the PC.
Yeah, I think if you're using like a Chromebook, then you probably need to have the app.
It used to run really, really well off of Firefox, but Firefox is quitting.
Got our guy on.
We're good. We can stop talking about this now.
Yay!
Hey, what's going on, everybody?
Welcome.
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. I'm actually in a car right now. I'm heading to the train station. I just finished speaking to the McLean County Libertarian chapter. Lex Green wanted me to say hello to all of you. He wanted to say that he misses you, Chris, and he hopes that you come to the convention this March.
Well, I won't be going to the convention. I've got other things that I need to do, but tell Lex thanks, and that I hope that the convention's a success up there.
Well, that might be better.
Are you talking about your state party convention or the Louisiana convention?
The Illinois State Party convention, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
So
that is candidate for the Libertarian.
I think we're losing you.
I'm here. You guys
okay.
Yeah.
Mine froze for a second.
I'm going to fix this for you guys. Give me one moment.
Can we boost his audio?
All right. Do you guys still have me there?
Yeah,
All
your
right, so
your
that makes it
audio's a
better.
little bit lower than others. I don't know if there's like what setting you're using on your like car or speaker, or if there's a way to get that louder. If not, don't worry about it.
Is it better now?
I don't know. Let everybody else
Yeah,
talk, and
it's
let's
a
see.
little better.
Like Chris is a lot
Oh,
louder.
we can hear you, but we can hear you, but you're definitely lower than everyone else.
Yeah, so
All
just
right,
try
I
to
can
speak up as best you can.
Will do. I'll just move my my voice a little bit closer to the microphone whenever.
Yeah, cool.
Okay, that'll work. So we're just sitting here all drinking beers, having a grand time. So chime in when you need to. So
All right.
Are you having a beer in your car? I'm fine with that myself.
Let's not encourage that.
I'm not saying to do it irresponsibly.
Well, it doesn't look like he's in the driver's seat, and I know that when I have been being driven in the state of Virginia, especially in like say a driver-driven car, I'm allowed to have drinks in the back.
Yes,
So-
theoretically, I think I could drink if I wanted to, but no, I'm not drinking. I'm in the back seat right now.
I would not, kind of condone brown bagging it.
Hey, we used to do that. Well,
I know.
Well,
All the
but
time.
we're not condoning a 40-ouncer of High Life.
Yeah,
saying.
seriously, you don't. I mean, just like drinking right out of the bottle while you're driving, that is totally irresponsible. You want to get like a Starbucks cup.
Nobody says put a straw down in it.
Yeah, something with a straw. Like a McDonald's cup.
Yes, man.
That's classic.
You gotta you gotta keep it classy, man. You gotta keep it classy.
Except for if you're going to go through New York, I believe New York is also going to start getting rid of straws.
Oh,
You need to use a straw that whistles, one of those old straws that's reusable.
Oh, I
that
thought
whistles.
California was the only one that was going to do that.
No, I think New York is bound to do it as well.
well, actually, in New Jersey, you might get pulled over for just drinking coffee in your car. So,
Oh,
yeah, like they're like anything. Like, oh, I'm calling that. I think they can just anything is a distracted driving or whatever. Like,
wow.
yeah.
Too many binary laws.
So
for a non-binary world.
There it is.
well. Okay.
I know you're a non-binary guy there, Jim Beb.
Hey, you either are binary or you aren't, right?
Had to get the ball rolling sooner or later.
Well, hey, Matthew,
Yes.
Jason. First of all, do you drink beer?
No, actually, I'm a teetotaler. I don't drink anything at all.
Oh, okay.
What? Now that
Alright.
you started that, what's your brand? What's your favorite tea?
Actually, the term teetotaler means someone that doesn't.
Well,
drink
I know.
whatsoever.
Right.
I
But
know.
I mean, I do like tea. Actually, I had a cup of green tea. I'm kind of a tea fanatic. I drink a lot of yogi tea at my house. I'm big into like detox teas and whatnot.
Right. Very nice.
I drink Earl Grey hot. That's it.
I just love any type of green tea, to be honest with you.
This is not the tea and beer bullshit show.
I
however.
know. Hence
So,
the reason why this is the reason.
I'm like Matthew. I
I like
like,
Long Island
I
iced tea.
have like these awesome conversations. But
And this is the reason why I decided to go off on a tangent and pour me a Boulevard Whiskey Barrel Aged Stout.
Ooh.
ooh,
Well,
11.8% alcohol by volume.
Well, there are, and I think Amy likes some of the chai tea, whatever.
Oh, yes, the Tai Chi stouts.
Yeah, the chai tea stouts.
ooh, Stone did that
Yep.
chai spice imperial. Yes, oh, those were
Mhm.
delicious. That was
So-
a 2015 special release. It was oh my
Mhm.
god, it was so good.
I had a green tea beer from where was it? It's in Maine. They do crap. I'm drawing a blank. Castaway IPA is their IPA. Baxter Brewing.
Okay.
Like
Okay.
in the brewery had a like for tasting experimental, like a green tea. I don't know if it was a Pilsner, but it was something, somewhat kind of light like that. It was quite good. Very good.
I'll see you guys maybe tomorrow.
I can't be there tomorrow.
See you at the convention, my friend. Thank you for everything.
Yep. Nice meeting you.
Did I lose you guys there for a second?
No,
No,
we're
you're
Yeah.
we're
good.
just listening
When,
in on your conversations. That's all.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes. So, when is the convention up there in Illinois?
March 2nd and March 3rd is when we are going to vote on the governor candidate who's going to represent the Libertarian Party for the state of Illinois. And I hope it's me because I am the only one who can stand up there next to Bruce Rauner or J.B. Pritzker and absolutely verbally dismantle them. So the Libertarians need to elect me, and I believe that they will.
Are those the old party establishment candidates?
Yes,
that's right.
Well,
Yes.
well, they're the front. They're the front runners in the primary right now.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
What are your odds of winning?
100%.
I like that optimism
all right.
right there.
I guess it's
I
settled
like
then.
the optimism, but
No, look, I mean,
so.
what are my odds of winning? There's a lot of different victories for me here in this election. My odds of, obviously I'm a massive underdog, but if we get 5%, the Libertarian Party becomes a major party across the state of Illinois. If I can do that, that's huge. If I can recruit people to become libertarians to join the party, that's a massive victory.
There it
And
is.
if I could just teach people about concepts like jury independence, that alone is a massive victory. So there's a lot of different victories for me in this race, not just actually winning the seat and becoming governor of Illinois.
Good, because that's probably slightly less than 100% guaranteed. I don't want to throw cold water on this, but I'm going to say there's still a chance that might not happen.
But I like that optimistic approach to it because of the fact that, like you said, even if you get at least a 5%, that shows, for your sector that, hey, I've got 5%. This is something that, people should start looking into.
Has that ever been done before in Illinois to get 5% for a libertarian in a gubernatorial race?
Not in a governor's race, no.
Or any
not in a governor's race.
statewide race or Senate or anything?
No, but
No.
look, I'm a lot different, guys. I'm telling you right now, all bets are off when you put me on.
Well, there's a first
Okay.
time for everything. I did see it happen in Virginia.
That's right.
5%?
Yes.
Great.
Robert Sarvis. I think it was 4 years ago, but regardless. With your candidacy up there in Illinois, do you have to be registered? And Chris, you can probably answer this too. Do you have to be registered to vote as with your party affiliation?
No, in fact, the state of
open?
Illinois does not consider us a major party right now. So people can be registered Republican and vote in the Republican primary, and then come election day, November 6th, they can go ahead and cast their vote for the Libertarian candidate if they want. We are, we're
But you're saying each individual person needs to be registered as a Republican or a Democrat. I mean, do they have the party affiliation option as a libertarian in the state of Illinois?
No.
Okay.
Be independent.
No.
Yeah, see, that's the same thing that I'm going through over here with my
That's
party
one of the-
affiliation.
That's one of the things I was dealing with up here where I'm at now in Maryland that I didn't have to deal with in Virginia. So it's definitely a hurdle that the state puts upon you that I don't think is fair.
Oh, no, it's not fair at all. I mean, there's more than one party system, and yet at the same time, if you look through 90% of the states, I mean, it is just a two-party system, and that's not right at all.
And I actually feel like we really live in a one-party system. I feel like on a macro scale, Republicans and Democrats do the exact same thing.
Right. They're the same. In my opinion, they're the same coin, just opposite sides.
Exactly. So I look at the Libertarian Party really as a second party, not as a third party.
And where I take a stance, I am my county's representative for the Constitutional Party.
Oh, beautiful.
So,
okay.
Yeah. I take similar stance on that.
We're like first cousins.
Right.
Can I ask the candidate a question?
Please.
Okay, fill in the blank. The first one's going to be easy. Taxation is blank.
Armed robbery.
That's a new one. I haven't heard that one, but that's a good one.
I like it.
Okay, you pass. All right.
The second question was just the first question in just reverse.
Yeah. Well, how about this? What should be done about people that sneak across the border from Minnesota or Wisconsin?
Yeah. The problem is people really aren't sneaking across. In my state, in Illinois, people are not sneaking across the border to come into Illinois. They are leaving Illinois in massive droves, and they're being very vocal about it. And the reason why they're doing that is because we are taxing the hell out of everybody.
Yeah,
I can't say
I
can't say that I would blame one single person for leaving the state of Illinois.
I mean, the amount of taxes and everything
in very much the same way that I can't say that I would blame anyone for running out of the city of Baltimore, which is where I live now. The policies and tax policies and just the loss and everything else in general. I mean, it makes it inconducive for any normal human being to live.
Well, I know I live here in Springfield, and they just turned down raising the sales tax from 8.5 to 8.75. It failed on the vote of 9-1. So the
8.5?
the mayor, what? Yeah, 8.75
for sales tax.
Right.
State
the sales tax here is 8.5. Right. And
I thought 6% in Pennsylvania was near just intolerable.
We're over 10
over here in Ohio, depending on the county.
Well, anyway, they just rejected it 9-1 in city council. Now, the mayor here, and we have to have something passed by the 1st of March, for the new fiscal year, and I know that they're looking at cutting. Get this, they're gonna have to cut government.
Oh no!
Oh my goodness!
I believe it,
and it's scaring people.
I believe it when it actually happens.
And it's scaring people because they're like, well, we're gonna have to cut 25 police officers, and I'm like, they could cut that another 25 right there. They're gonna have to cut 25 firemen, and they're not gonna have to hire anybody who's left in city government. So if there's a vacancy somewhere in one department, they're not gonna fill it. So, but that's part of it. They're gonna have to do more because we're in an $11 million hole here in Springfield, and a third of it is pensions. And that's becoming a huge problem here in Illinois, is pensions.
I mean,
cut them off.
I don't want to bore you guys, but I can talk to you about pensions for about an hour.
No, that's okay.
Well, can we just summarize and would you have any problem if we just cut these parasites off cold turkey? They invested their lifetime working for the state, and they are owed nothing by the poor victims that they have abused their entire careers.
I'm actually not okay with that, just because there were promises made to people, and I believe in honoring a promise. Now, the problem is the promises made were not realistic. And you're right. Many government employees are parasites. They are parasites.
Is that so? So if a thief promises something to somebody, Does that excuse their continued theft?
No.
So how would it not be preferential to say, I'm sorry, that thief promised you something, but he doesn't actually have what he promised you, and you're not allowed to take it from us taxpayers.
Let me put it this way as well. If somebody's trying to steal from you, leaves your house, and then breaks their leg on your property, and then turns around and sues you, they're stealing from you twice. Because then they're allowed to sue you, and you have to pay for their injuries.
Well, you just don't.
That's true. Or you get, I mean, look, it's a messed up situation, and I mean, you're making a moral argument, and I totally agree with you.
So, would you continue to shake down taxpayers to pay off the promises of the previous politicians?
That's a big question. No,
nope,
I'm not.
It's not.
I'm not interested in shaking down anyone. I mean, you know how I feel about taxation. But
okay, but then you acted like there still might be an obligation to keep paying these thieves, which I find interesting.
Look, I can't cut off a pension of someone who worked for 40 years of their life, has just retired. You know, I mean, it's just that's not morally correct in my opinion.
Well, who is it morally correct to pick up that bill?
I understand what you're saying, right? Maybe there's a different way to fund it so that it doesn't come out of tax revenue. So maybe if it came more from a direct taxation as opposed to an indirect taxation source, that might be a more equitable way of funding it. You know, hey, listen, I get it. I totally do.
Okay.
But when I become governor of the state of Illinois, I have to swear an oath to uphold the Constitution of the state of Illinois, which says that I will pay those pensions. So,
doesn't it also say that the right of to have private property is protected in some regards? Okay, then. Yeah, so which if you take an oath, which one are you taking an oath to? Protecting private property or stealing private property to pay off the debts of the previous thieves?
I will always look. Private property is the essence of all rights in America and anywhere. Actually, it's the essence of natural rights. So I would err on the side of protecting property rights.
But my pension. Pension
is right. Damn right.
You pay me. Some jackass politician promised I get paid.
Look,
what are you going to do about it?
Here's what I want to do is I don't want to make any unrealistic promises to any new people who are getting hired on as state employees. I don't think that any of them should be offered.
Are you saying you'd hire people? You're saying the state would be hiring people if you were governor?
Well, there's going to be people to replace the ones who I mean, it sounds like you're an anarchist, and I understand. That's fine.
I'm just asking questions.
I warned you. I warned you before you got on the show.
That's okay.
Oh, Jim Bab, you big old meanie.
I'm just asking questions here. It's not about me. I'm not saying what my views are.
Can I put a rebuttal into this? Even in my position over here, is that I too am against taxation, but at the same time, I mean, you got to have something there, because if you're not going to get out and fund this stuff yourself, if you're not going to get out there and start working for your city yourself, you're not going to get out there and start doing all the jobs that the city members do themselves, then you've got to fund it somehow.
Do you? What
no, not necessarily, Scott, because a lot of those programs could be privatized.
Yes, they can be privatized. That means you actually getting out there and doing it. On a market basis. If the people want X, Y, and Z, they will find somebody. They will find a private organization to fund that particular. So therefore, if you could become that private organization,
y'all didn't tell me I was supposed to have popcorn.
That means that means you guys could be that private organization, because therefore they're going to look at you and they're going to be like, okay, well, you got more money.
But Scott, if I'm doing that, what the city or state was already doing, there's no reason why the state should be doing it too when I'm offering it at a cheaper and more efficient.
If you're going to do it, that's right. If you're going to do it, then cut it out from the city. But at this point in time, people are too damn lazy to get up off of their couches and everything else to get out there and actually do anything nowadays. So this is the reason why we have it.
What are you talking about?
Anything that has to do with the city. You're going to get out there and you're going to unclog those tubes that are going to your toilet. So therefore,
What?
you got to have city workers to get out there and unclog the sewers.
Or I just hire the private sewer company.
There you go. You're going to hire from a private sector. So therefore, you're taking away from the city jobs. Therefore, go ahead, take it away from the city and hire a private sector.
Okay, but
This
in the
is
meantime,
what I'm talking about.
but
If we're going to
let me ask you
hire a
this.
private sector,
if
then
if we agree that taxation is armed robbery,
it is theft. Okay.
So what should happen to the victim who resists armed robbery? Matthew, you've got some ideas for taxes. What would happen to a taxpayer like Chris if Chris just said, "Screw that! I'm not paying. I'm resisting this armed robbery." What should happen to him?
Nothing.
So you have ideas for taxes, but they're going to be voluntary.
Yeah, of course. I'm a volunteerist for sure.
Okay, so your taxes, so there won't be any taxes forced upon people. It'll just be sort of like a GoFundMe.
No, there will be taxes forced upon people. Of course, there'll be taxes forced upon people. I can't stop that as governor of the state of Illinois. I'm only the governor, but what I can do is pardon people if they are arrested for tax violation.
So you would pardon anyone who's arrested for any kind of tax violation?
Anyone from any victimless crime.
Which would include a tax violation.
That's
right?
correct.
Tax resistors.
Tax
Yeah.
resistors. Okay.
And gun laws and drug laws.
Nice.
Nice.
All right, so we'll cut you some slack there.
Although, I really like the idea of enforcing the state taxes a lot more and then just kicking out the IRS completely.
Here, I'm going to post up in this. I know he probably won't be able to see it at this point, but here's my party's. I don't know if I'll be able to fit it all in here too, onto this like little chat window over here.
Okay. So were you saying you prefer Illinois branded highway robbers as opposed to federal armed robbers? Is that what I heard?
In the interim, I like the idea of allowing. Look, I don't like the idea, but I think that it's more pragmatic to allow having state taxes, kick the IRS out, get rid of the federal taxes, allow companies and citizens to flood into the state of Illinois, pay off the debt that we owe, and then and only then get rid of the state taxes. I think that
you would expect the newcomers to foot the bill for all the crap that's been going on there before they move in?
But they wouldn't be paying federal income tax. Think about that one for a second.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
That's another thing that I would be getting rid of is all the federal income tax, the payroll tax, and the estate tax.
Yeah, and corporate tax doesn't make sense to me at all.
Right.
Like it literally is something that just doesn't. I don't understand it. Like, why would you tax a corporation? Like, if you don't tax a corporation, that money will be spent. It'll be given to an individual. I mean, theoretically, if you believed in an income tax, you could tax it at that level. But a tax to a corporation makes no sense.
Better to tax old ladies than corporations.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah, at gunpoint.
Okay. Just so we're clear. Just want to get these points narrowed down.
Sure. Like, just real quick, can everyone go around and tell me what party they are affiliated with or would support?
I'm not affiliated.
Okay.
I am with the Constitutional Party.
Cool.
I'm with the Vote for Nobody campaign. There we go.
I like that.
So let me ask you. Hold on. Wait a second. The guy with the what's the guy with the
Jim Bab's an anarchist, so But
I have run for statewide office though. So
yeah, he has run for statewide office as a libertarian.
A massive inconsistency.
Jim, you, the Harold Ramis looking guy. Jim. Now, so you're an anarchist?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you not believe in voting?
Well, I believe people vote. I just choose. I don't really believe it as a force for good or anything.
Okay, so I think that that's one of the most ridiculous concepts that I ever hear anarchists say. That makes absolutely no sense for me. How are we going to cede power from the state without voting? The whole idea that you're just not going to participate makes no sense to me. That you are just letting the state run rampant.
So participating in statism gets you more statism.
Is it statism to vote? I think that honestly you could be voting people who are anti-statist and getting anti-statist to elected.
Which one?
Well, how's it worked out so far? Let's start with that.
Which one?
The voting for freedom. Are we have a lot of success stories we can look at, or has it been a backward slide every election?
Recently, it has not been, but I mean that's not to say that it couldn't be if we actually started a revolution here.
Okay. What if people just opted out and just said, you know what, doesn't apply to me. Doesn't apply to me. I'm over here. I'm going to just be living my life, going to private school.
Oh, the state
using
loves that.
cryptocurrency. And you know what? I'm just going to work on protecting my wealth from these thieves instead of trying to perfect the art of thievery.
No, so that what you just described is exactly what the state wants. It wants you to give up on the entire voting process. It wants you to sit out there and do absolutely nothing. And to say that they're not going to steal from you is absolutely insane because they're going to vote to steal everything from you, and you will have no part in that process because you voted not to. Or you didn't vote.
Well, whether you vote or not, you have no say in the process. Do you have any evidence that you do have a say in the process by voting?
Well, theoretically, we do live.
Let's not talk theory. Let's talk. Show me an example, because there's been studies. Did you maybe you read that Princeton study that actually tried to correlate voter voting with public policy, and they concluded that there was no correlation, and that it really doesn't matter. I mean,
But
so
at the same time,
if you want to make a case for voting, hey, I'm open to it. If somebody could convince me, but you have to come at it from a. I'd like to hear
get out there and inform these people, who to vote for or not to vote for, because of the fact that these people. I'm sorry for using this terminology, but people are dumbfounded because of the fact that they do not know who to vote for. They don't know who not to vote for. So they just go out there and they write down or push buttons and everything else. And then next thing you know, you're getting your money taken from you. So therefore, you didn't do nothing.
We had a great example of democracy in action in Philly the other night. I don't know if you saw that video where a mob had stormed a gas station after the Super Bowl, and they took a vote. And they decided that all the property in that convenience store belonged to the collective, and it was rather unpleasant to see this level of democracy in your face. But I guess my question for Matthew is just if you want to make an argument for voting, do you think you should have some kind of evidence to support the theory that it's going to work? Or am I supposed to just assume that theoretically it might work based on your hopes and dreams?
Well, all I can say is that you're voting, even if you say that it's not effective. Number one, I don't think that argument is valid. I think that you have to say that at the bare minimum, it's stopping them from implementing 100% taxation, implementing gulags, and totally, imprisoning and enslaving the population. That's the only thing that stops them, is the possibility that people will vote against it.
But yet we have more people in jail in this country than any other country in the world, including Saudi Arabia. So how does voting block the gulag? In fact, we have just the opposite. We've got probably more voting than ever before, and more people in gulags than ever before. So I challenge that assumption.
Okay, so the point I'm trying to make, though, is that no one voted not theoretically, but it's very, very possible that more people could be in jail, that they would pass more draconian laws that would be incarcerating people. Right?
Well, okay, that's a theory. Anything to back it up?
How could we pass more draconian laws to enslave people? How could we possibly do that? Is it possible? Is it feasible? Do we have enough resources to pass more draconian laws? Not really. We're already passing as many as we can every moment.
Girls.
I'll put this one out there because of the fact that I live in primarily a democratic society over here in Ohio.
What part of Ohio are you in?
I'm actually in northeastern Ohio. I'm in Trumbull County, Ohio.
Where?
I am like 2 hours southeast of Cleveland, and I'm 30 minutes northwest of Youngstown.
Okay.
I'm actually 30 minutes away from downtown Akron.
Okay. All right. I got you.
So therefore, in my area, if a let's just say Nancy Pelosi or even Chuck Schumer came to the area preaching, freebies or more wealth on their welfare system, or if the next Republican got in was going to take away from their freebies. Of course, every single person in my area is going to ultimately vote for a Democrat because they want those freebies. And that's the biggest thing around here is the welfare system, your insurance programs, your Social Security, your insurance, everything. I mean, they don't want to work. People in general society over here don't want to work anymore.
Scott, I live in Baltimore City. Everything here is quote unquote free.
Okay.
Even a bullet to the head. I mean, it's all free. You know, I mean, you can get whatever you want, you know.
Nothing's free. There's no such thing as a free lunch.
Just because somebody else is giving it to you.
Someone's paying for it. Right. Whether we're printing the darn money.
So I mean, the people that, in my scenario, the people that are not working that are getting these freebies are the ones
was maybe sarcastic.
Right, I understand.
Yeah.
But in my terminology, it's like I bust my ass like 40, 50, 60 hours a week, in my daytime job, and then all of a sudden I'm paying for these people that are standing outside getting these freebies. I see this same scenario in that. I mean, it's combative voting because of the fact that I'm trying to get people on my side to vote against this stuff because of the fact that I'm trying to get them on my side and show them, hey, if we get rid of these, you're going to get rid of, your taxation. You're going to get rid of, all this bad stuff. In their terminology, I'm just gonna talk to them like that. It's just like, we're gonna get rid of this bad stuff. We're gonna get rid of certain taxes. We're gonna get rid of certain laws because of the fact that it's going to make life easier for you. It's going to make life better for you.
Guys, hey, I hate to do this, but I am gonna have to run here. I just wanted to thank you all for
nice meeting you, Matthew.
Listen, you may not think I'm the most radical guy in the world, but I'll tell you this, I'm a hell of a lot more radical than any of the candidates within the Libertarian Party. And you can be damn sure I'm more radical than the Republicans or the Democrats. So if you live in Illinois, I hope you vote for me November 6, 2018. Let's make Illinois solvent again. Thank you, guys.
Oh, thank you for coming along, Matt.
All right, take care.
I want Illinois to be thick and solid.
Chris, man, he was a nice dude, man. Thanks for bringing him on.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, he's a cool guy.
He wanted to be on the show, and I'm like, how did you know that I had a show?
I like him
first and foremost.
I like him. I mean, if I was a voting kind, which I'm not, I mean, I would get my ass out there and hang out with him and
That was like the wrong thing to say again. You're now suspect again.
Oh, did Matthew bail out? Did I miss him? Oh well.
Yeah,
he bailed. He
said he wanted to make Illinois solid again. That was his final word. Make Illinois solid again.
Solid again?
Yeah, solid.
Solvent.
Solvent.
Dissolve it in solvent? That would be great.
Well, I've come to believe the only voting that works is voting with your feet. So,
Seems like a lot of people are, from what you've told me, people are casting that type of vote in Illinois all the time.
Every person that leaves, every adult that leaves the state of Illinois is taking $50,000 with them.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, on an average. All right.
Good.
So, we've the state of Illinois has lost what they say, something like somewhere in a range of $5 to $7 billion over the last 5 years because people are leaving.
Basically their tax cattle are escaping the corral. Is that?
Well, yeah. I mean,
of course, the farmer eventually is going to have to fix that fence.
Yeah.
Right, but these idiots here think, oh, well, people are leaving. Let's raise more taxes.
But that's it.
Yeah.
Like
That's the way
really?
they do it.
You're gonna
No.
replace what's already
Why
gone.
don't we
Increase all the taxes.
why don't we lower the taxes, get people to come back to Illinois,
Right.
get jobs here, okay, and pay off the freaking. We're so debt ridden, it's not even funny, and we're not even talking about the pensions. The
Right.
pensions are over bloated here. We're looking at $130 something billion just in pensions.
Doesn't it seem reasonable to
we're
just cut
underwater.
those people off cold turkey? I mean, is that really?
You know what, for Jim Bab, I wish we could, but there's this thing called the Constitution.
The Constitution
Illinois.
doesn't guarantee them a pension. What's in the
Yes, it
Constitution?
does.
No, it doesn't.
The Constitution guarantees state employees their pensions.
You're
Here in Illinois.
You're pretty much getting your money back from the time that you worked.
Well, does it
Not
also
even, not even because
Okay.
because Scott because
It's already
Scott,
taxed.
Scott if no because Scott technically, all right, these people the majority of the people, okay, and there's a lot of people on the pension doles that are getting a pension from like the state, and then they'll work for the city for 15
Oh, yeah,
years
I've
and they'll
seen
get
some of
a
those
pension from
people.
the city, okay, and then they'll become police officers and they'll get another pension from the state police or something, okay. There've been people that are get this, $300,000 a year from pensions because they're double and triple dipping. And it's
Wow,
allowed.
hey, check this out. I
It
just
is
pulled
allowed.
up. I just pulled up the Illinois
tell you this from
Constitution.
My party says that the Declaration of Independence declares the purpose of government is to secure the rights. These are unalienable rights, such as liberty. Nothing in the Constitution, rights of the founders, or in logic can imagine a God-given right to earn a specific wage or buy a specific price. We deny that the civil government has any authority to set wages and prices, so doing so is inconsistent with the principles of the individual liberties of the free market. So even if so, I mean, I don't see it as a constitutional, commandment that you should be atoned that wage.
Well, there's certainly no moral authority just because somebody wrote it
No.
down.
Right.
That's for sure.
Right.
I think it's funny what they did write down. I just pulled up the Illinois Constitution and the preamble. Like usually this is kind of the same from one to the next, but this one has stuff that's
Right.
different that I recognize. In order to provide for the health, safety, and welfare of the people, maintain a representative and orderly government, eliminate poverty and inequality, assure legal, social, and economic justice, provide opportunity for the fullest development of the individual, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense and secure the blessings and freedom, blah, blah, blah. That sounds, like they plagiarized that part. But they've added all this social justice stuff. I don't know when that came in, but yeah, good luck.
1970.
Is a libertarian going to take an oath to eliminate inequality and social economic justice, social and economic justice? Good luck. Good luck.
History has shown, Jim Bab, that the more you try to eliminate inequality, it gets more unequal.
Well, the only two people that are equal are both like dead. I mean, that's. I mean, if you're an individual, to be an individual means you are not equal to another individual. That's just you're just not. No two people are the same. Never.
Well, no. I mean, Jim Bab, I think you and I are equals. Okay.
Well, we don't have equal abilities. You're like six
in equal
inches
abilities,
tall.
but
you're equal. You're 6 inches
we
taller
have-
than I am.
Okay. Well. I mean, as in rights. Okay. We should have the same rights, no matter whether or economic background, race, gender, whatever. Okay,
Physical
we
abilities
should
are
be
cut
equal.
out of that.
Right. Well, but that's not what this is saying.
Don't
That's
forget
not what this is
sexual preferences.
Oh,
That's
God,
not what
don't
this
go
is
there.
trying to guarantee. This is trying to, I don't know, whatever. It's all a bunch of bullshit anyway. But I like to try to judge these, instead of trying to say, well, my standards say it should be this way. I like to use these people's own sort of documents to make their arguments based on their, to make my argument based on their terms within their own parameters, right? So instead of trying to tell them like, hey, tax is theft or whatever, like when I ran for the treasurer of Pennsylvania, I just latched on to the first line of the Pennsylvania Constitution that says that Pennsylvanians have a right to acquire and possess property, right? So whatever else they thought that should be done, like, hey, well, that sounds like a great idea for those taxes, but it says right here, if I was the treasurer, I have to agree to protect people's right to have property. So I'm sorry,
right.
Just using their own arguments to show how ridiculous they are. I don't even think Illinois has something like that. I think you're just fucked in Illinois. They don't even pretend to protect private property, from what I can tell.
What was it over the summer? Wasn't it there was a few people that won the lottery, or it was one person that won the lottery, or whatever it was. They couldn't get their lottery winnings because of the fact that Illinois was stating that it was broke.
Well, no, the problem was, Scott, is that they couldn't pay out more than $600 because there was no budget.
Okay. I was gonna say, because I knew I seen something about that where people,
there was
I don't
no
know
budget.
if it was I don't know if it was just one person or if it was a few people throughout the state that had won.
They couldn't pay, but there was I think for the first couple weeks here in Illinois, because there was no budget, they shut down lotto machines. They shut down the lotto machines.
Well, did you? Speaking of the lottery, did you see the one that
lotto for a couple weeks until we get a budget?
Did you see that one here in the United States that won, like, I think it was like $356 million or something like that, and she don't want to come forward. So the lottery commission said, okay, well, if you don't want to come forward, you're not getting this money.
What do you mean come forward?
Because
they're making it a stipulation because she didn't go and sign the clause with her attorney to be undisclosed.
Right. When you buy the ticket, okay, you're assuming, okay, and I know this is in Illinois. There are some states where you can go in and if you win the lotto, you don't have to disclose your name or whatnot. You can just say, hey, this is
I get it.
What I know here in Illinois, okay, that when you buy that ticket and you win, okay, your name is up for public knowledge and public notice.
So you have to buy a new life. Take your money and go buy a new life in Thailand.
Right. Well, this woman here, she didn't sign before she didn't go to her attorney and ask for that clause to be undisclosed. And now she says she don't want to, have her name out there, which her name's already freaking out there. Everybody knows who she is.
Already. Yeah.
Right. And she keeps saying that I don't want to be out there. I don't want all these people knowing who I am. And they're like, well, if you don't come forward, you cannot get this money. So it's at a standstill right now.
Well, I hope she gets the money. That's all I'm going to say.
Well, I hope she does get the money, and then she's like, and then she hires a couple of bodyguards or some security people.
And I hope she doesn't pay. I hope she doesn't pay tax on her winnings. Like, if you're going to have to buy a new life and go to Thailand anyway because they just doxed you, right? Fuck them. Fuck them. You've got the money to be a king in the rest of the world. Screw them. I'd take my $350 million and be like, yeah, I'm living in Croatia. There's no extradition treaty. Fuck you.
Hey, James, I watched that thing on Silk Road the other night.
Yeah, how was that?
Obviously, when something like that comes out, especially on a channel like A&E or something like that, a cable channel or whatnot, they used a lot of the government bullshit, basically.
That's what I was afraid of.
I know you've followed that case really well. I kind of followed that. I know the logistics of the case or whatever, but they didn't take any other person's side except the people involved on the government side.
That sucks.
They didn't go to Lynn. They didn't, interview Ross from prison. They talked to a few of his friends that he had come across over the years, but other than that, it was basically government propaganda. This is why we did what we did, and now a guy who is sitting in jail for the rest of his life because the government wouldn't leave him alone.
It fucking sucks.
I know,
man.
I know, and you know what? And it's just as bad too because they're I'm watching that Waco miniseries or whatever, and it's the same thing. It's government propaganda all over again.
All the way.
Speaking of government propaganda, did I tell you about the trip I took to DC over around Christmas time?
I remember you taking a trip to DC. I forgot what it was for, though.
Well, my family's down in Northern Virginia or whatever, so we were hanging around after Christmas, and
right.
We needed activities to kind of do with my sisters and nieces and nephews and whatnot. So going to the Smithsonian in DC is kind of like one of the few things there is to do. And I've done these before as a kid and stuff, but this time I decided I'm probably never going to set foot in that shithole of a city ever again in my life. It was so horrible. And these Smithsonians, which I once sort of respected as, as like, you can really check out some cool shit there.
Right.
The History Museum talk was just pure propaganda. I mean, I couldn't believe the amount of shit that there was they were pushing in there with a straight face about, where they had quotes from Herbert Hoover about, how freedom requires government and shit like this. And what the hell? The shrines to voting. Matthew would have loved it. I mean, they didn't just promote voting, but this was this was like the Vatican. You went to the Vatican to pray about voting. I mean, at their holy temple. It was really just horrifying. And to even get into these museums, I had to go through I didn't get a pat down, but they did a deep search of all the pockets of my camera bag and jacket and everything. It was a highly invasive search, long security line. I'm like, oh, fuck.
You should have
taken out of this hellish city.
You should have taken some sage or some thyme so that they could pull a bag of green stuff out and be like, what's this, dude?
Well, see, that's what I was actually afraid of. I'm like, wouldn't this be hilarious if I'm here with my sisters and my cousins and kids and everybody, and they're like, what's this? So I had and I'm like, what am I going to? So anyway, so I took what I did have, and I'm not saying what it was, but I stashed it in the deepest pocket I could find on this thing. But I knew they were going in it. I'm like, well, whatever. Let's just see what happens, And but I thought this could be really entertaining. This will be a story to tell if this goes wrong. But I didn't really.
now they've discovered you, and you have to find a new stash spot. It sucks. You're fucked.
Yeah, I just realized, like, there's nothing for me in that city. Nothing. Just
You should
nothing.
put condoms on top of your whatever your stash is. Put some condoms right there on top of it, because when they see the condoms, they'll be like, "Oh, sorry. Okay, moving along."
Now you know why Jim Bab, I call DC the District of Criminals.
It's worse than
It is
that.
a criminal.
I mean,
it's most
of my friends are criminals. This is far different. This is
terrible.
I mean, not to paraphrase Trump, but DC is definitely a shithole.
Dude, it's a swamp and a half.
It's the biggest shithole ever. Like
it is.
It's the shithole.
It is the biggest shithole. I would rather.
If I did a pie chart, it would be like all red, like shithole, and then a little green stripe that says shithole, but in green.
Well, I actually found a good beer store there. I found a good beer bar
they have quite a few,
like 5 years ago. But whatever, and I've been to DC my whole life, but I just felt like something had changed this time, where either in me or my ability to cope and to process all of this horrible authoritarian propaganda and religiosity and temples, and
no, it's getting worse.
And my tolerance is becoming less. So anyway, those lines crossed, and I'm like, screw it. I'm not, people said, oh, you're going to want to go to the LibCon convention coming up. It's like in DC, I guess it's Students for Liberty or something. It's called LibCon. Like,
right.
Like
perfect for, I don't know. I just figure it's more like Liberty Con. Like,
they dress up in costumes and stuff.
No, I think it's more of a con job. It's like, like. Anyway, but I'm like, no, there's no way I'm going there. Better have a damn good reason before I step foot in there. Nothing that voluntary.
Yeah, you're way too much of a high profile character to be showing up at those.
Yeah, I'm so high profile. Well, I mean, let's face it, the Beer and Bullshit show has made us all, given us all a certain amount of notoriety, and we have to deal with that when we go out in the world.
Really famous.
Right. I mean, Shane, the way that women throw themselves at you, I'm sure it gets tiring.
I even before you got here, I was still claiming that he's still suspect.
Suspect.
You guys are wrong. Okay.
Come on, Shane.
This is another reason why I love him coming.
No,
what happened?
I know you do, Chris, and
we love it when he shows up.
But
I mean, I don't know anybody in their right mind that would bring a 3-liter bottle of beer onto the bullshit show and sit there shit faced.
Sometimes
that was classic. That was classic.
I missed that. Wow.
Anchor Steam.
Wow. Sometimes 3 liters is just enough.
The Anchor Steam Christmas Happy New Year bottle. It was like 3 liters, and he was like, "I'm gonna pour me some more. Watch this." And he was already trashed, and he was like out in the yard. And next thing you know, his camera went black, and I was like, "Where did he go?"
Uh-oh. I hope you didn't call 911.
I was
welfare check.
I was listening to you guys ramble because all you were doing was rambling. You weren't saying anything beneficial at all. Okay?
See, it's your fault.
I just listened. I listened out of respect till the end of the show. Okay? And I wasn't even like schnockered.
Excuses, Shane.
I'll be right back. I'm dropping out for a second.
He was plastered, dude. I mean, even by the time I come on, he was gone.
I've never been plastered, ever.
Okay, you were pretty close, though.
Oh, yeah.
You were pretty close. You were pretty close.
I mean, Amy was having fun with you about your multiple sweaters and everything else. And
listen, guys. I don't own any sweaters, okay? I want to tell you something serious about that night.
Okay.
Okay, the Anchor Steam Night. I think that was episode 93 or something along there. I'm not sure which episode that was, but it was a special episode. Okay, but I want to tell you something serious about that night, and you guys get, you could get offended by this. You could.
Oh, okay.
You guys might be really offended by it. I mean, you might never ever want to speak to me again. But do you know what? Do you want to know? Can I tell you? Because I think it's important that I tell you guys. And understanding that you might never speak to me again, but would it be okay? Can I tell you this?
I don't know why you bringing this up, Shane. We were just having a good time.
All right. What I want to tell you, I'm going to tell you, okay? And what I want to tell you is really important, and I want you to listen really close. Okay. The thing that I want to tell you is that taxation is theft.
Oh man, I'm offended already. I'm offended.
There it is. Yep. I'm done.
Hit the road. Hit the road.
All of it.
Nah, but seriously, I mean, we're just here to have a good time.
Oh, yeah.
It's our twice a month kind of thing where we just sit around, drink, bullshit, and appease the 3 people that actually watch it.
Yeah.
So I'm not doing this for ratings or new whatever. I just do it because I like to.
But
that's it.
You have to understand the power of one. And the power of one is huge, because we just had Matthew on the show tonight, and he's one person, and he could very well win, and if he doesn't win at the level he's running at now, he can go to a different level and he can win there. But if somebody applies himself,
now you've done it. Now you've done it.
And you know what? Shane, when I first started this show, I didn't think that I would even come close to 100. I didn't think I was going to come close to 100 episodes. Next episode is 100. And there were times when there were times. What?
I said, why? Because you got to get on my level.
Oh, anyway, there were times when I just wanted to just abandon the show altogether. And then I got a new crop of people that came on the show, and I'm not doing this for fame or fortune or glory or whatever. If I could quit my job today and have whatever, I would do the Beer and Bullshit show every fucking night, and I would be at a different I would be at a different brewery every night doing it. Okay, cool. I'm serious. All right, I would be at a different brewery every night doing this. Okay, get the brewmaster on and the owner on, and have a grand old time doing the Beer and Bullshit show. That is my dream. That is just to take this show out of the comforts of my living room.
On the road. You could be in Iceland. You could be in Iceland up there learning about their brewing process, and eating some puffin and some sheep, and some fish, and drinking a good stout. Dude, that's a great idea.
But until then, this is probably the closest I'll ever get. My wife jokes around about this, and I swear sometimes I think she's a little bit more anarchist than I am. Okay, she says, I'm serious. When we first got married, okay, I kind of was like a Catholic in name only, and she grew up in the church and stuff like that, in the Christian church and stuff like that. But she knew nothing about politics. She knew nothing about what the government was doing to us and all this kind of stuff. And you know, I kind of taught her about politics. Okay, I kind of taught her about, you know, the stuff that her professors and her teachers in high school would have never taught her. Okay, economics and
Funny that you mentioned that.
And stuff like that. And she's like, and she started teaching me about more of what is in the Bible.
Right.
And I became a lot better Christian, and she became a lot more aware, okay, of what actually goes on in this country. Okay. And
It's nice that you guys could teach each other.
Yes. And that's what makes a good marriage, is because we're always bouncing off each other all the time. Okay? We're just bouncing off each other. And she came up with the idea of you know, she says, "You know what? We're going to stop buying laundry detergent. For $50 a year, I can make our own." I'm like, "How much?" And she goes, "I can make a 5-gallon thing for $50, less than $50 a year." I was like, "And it'll do the same job as Tide or whatever?" And she says, "It'll do a better job than Tide." And I was like, "Okay, go for it." You know, we have not bought laundry detergent at the store for 3 years.
Nice.
Okay. She likes to freeze stuff from like vegetables. That we go down to Soulard Market 3 times a year. We'll get like a whole bunch of peppers, onions, and we'll come home with all this fruit and all this veggies, and she'll prep it up and throw it in our freezer. I got a friend from church who has is a part-time farmer, and he gets stuff out of his garden, and you know, and we'll grab a whole bunch of corn, and she'll take the corn right off the cob and put it in a bag and freeze it.
Nice.
She hasn't had to buy corn yet this year, since summertime. So, you know, she's in some aspect, she's freaking more anarchist than I am. And I'm serious. And she's like, "You know what I want to do when we get to the age where we can just retire?" I'm like, "What?" And she goes, "I want to get an RV or something and just travel the country."
Nice.
She said, "You
Sounds
can go
good to
to
me.
your brew." She goes, "You can go to your breweries or whatever, you know, and do your thing, interviews or whatever. And, you know, if we got to stop somewhere and, you know, maybe work for, you know, a couple of weeks, a couple of months or whatever, we'll stop, you know,
Dude,
and do that."
that's great.
And I'm just like, and I'm
Genius.
like, I go, "Yep." I was like, "Yep, I married the perfect person.
It's probably cheaper.
I married the perfect woman."
It's probably more affordable and less work than what you're doing now. What you're talking about doing is probably a lot less
I
money.
for one would love to live off the land.
I would. I mean, she's just.
Scott forages for berries and
I
looks for
would.
mushrooms in the forest.
Then he makes wine and mead.
I have made mead before. I have dabbled in some wine. I want to make a blueberry wine, but I don't want to have to sit there and, you know, blanch the blueberries for the coloring and everything beforehand,
But
just to make
at
it
least
the same color.
you can scavenge blueberries in the wild,
Yep.
right? Like I don't know.
To be honest with you, I used to be a Boy Scout.
To be honest with us, you mean
Yeah.
this is something you might have lied about normally, but in this case,
it could have been.
Hey, I have to give my final report on this beer that I drank, if you don't mind me interrupting.
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
This coconut, it's called Lupu Luau IPA. Okay. And let's just say it just blasted straight through me. I think coconut water or whatever, let's just say it has a reputation for enhancing the digestive tract. And it did create some efficiency. He's
like, I had to get up and I had to go. So,
so I'm just saying that this may have, it's not that great of a beer, but as a laxative, yeah. It gets
oh my God.
Yeah. So,
that's the greatest thing I've heard all night, man. It was like, this beer, it may not have been that great, but it is a laxative.
Not that I don't really need that, but I'm just saying if you did.
That was perfect.
I've never had that experience before with a beer, but like literally, like the hour that we've been sitting here, like, wow, it's been doing its work, you know.
Maybe. Hey, Jim Bab, what brewery is that?
That's
Dogfish Head.
Oh, Dogfish Head.
Some of their stuff is shitty.
Maybe the Beer and Bullshit Show will give it a bump, and maybe Sam Calzone will treat it as a laxative now. I don't know.
Now, if you are stocked up, have one of our Lupo Ligre or whatever it is, and you won't have a problem going again.
Yeah, it tastes better than Pepto-Bismol or whatever.
Well, see, I want him to do the commercial right in front of that big metal tree house that he's got at the front of the brewery and be like, you know, if you're stopped up and you have a problem on your everyday journey through our beers, you know, stop and take a look at this Lupo Libre or whatever it is, and you too will have a smoothie of a day.
Don't take it like on a hiking trip or to the beach, right? This is, you know, it says luau, but no, don't take it to the luau, you know, no. Maybe at the hotel luau.
No, okay. No, Scott, it would be like, feeling constipated. Have you not taken a shit in a couple of days?
Oh my God.
Well, here's blah 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 blah. Drink this, and it'll cure your constipation.
You haven't shit today? Drink one of these. You'll definitely shit.
I love this shit.
Watch. I'll put in a request to go see the Dogfish Head Brewery while I'm on vacation. Dude. While I'm on vacation, and Sam will be like,
"No, dude, you can't come in here.
You made fun of my beer. Yeah, I can't let you in." It's like, come on, man.
He's gonna be like, Dogfish Head. I think that tall black guy from the Beer and Bullshit Show, aren't you?
Yeah.
You can't come in here. You made fun of my Lupo Libre.
Are you kidding? We have made them. We have put them on the map with the Beer and Bullshit bump in previous shows.
Yes, we have. We have many a times we've put them on the map. So, you know.
Have they sent a thank you? Have they sent a thank you note or anything?
No, I have not gotten a thank you note or nothing. Bastards.
I think Sam Adams is the only one that sends us beer, right, Scott?
Yeah, they have.
I don't get mine. I don't know, but you know.
Well, Sam Adams is they are the flagship pioneer of American craft beer, in my opinion.
I seriously wish that we could actually.
They're like the AOL of craft beer. They were the first. They were the biggest.
Right.
Yeah, but they don't suck. You know, they're really good, and AOL kind of sucks. Come on.
I wish that we could get more Weinstefaner or Wurstener beers here. Therefore, we could start with our overseas and German markets and English markets.
You can't get Warsteiner there.
We get quite a few of them, but we don't get them all.
And did you say you don't get Weissteiner?
Oh yeah, we get a lot of those ones here. That's why I'm saying. I mean, here on the show.
Right.
I had to take a hot tub
I was just wondering because we distribute Warsteiner.
Oh yeah,
So
they're good beers.
I like Warsteiner.
Yeah,
I like Warsteiner.
Do you drink the dark one or the light one?
Both.
To be honest with you, I like this one. I do the Dunkel, which is the dark.
Dunkel, yeah.
Yeah, I love this beer.
Oh, by the way, since I've got you guys on,
What's up?
last Thursday, I believe, we got to preview the new Corona that's coming out, the Corona Premier. It's supposed to rival with Michelob Ultra.
Oh, okay.
And as you guys know, I'm not a Corona guy. Okay,
Right.
Obviously. All right.
I'll try it.
But I will do a beer review of the Premier Light and regular and the Michelob Ultra on a YouTube video probably sometime in April, I'm thinking.
All right.
So it was okay. I mean, my boss down like 10 of them in our meeting. Our meeting only lasts 45 minutes.
I like your boss.
Yeah,
I like
but if
my
you can
boss
drink
too.
10
Don't get me wrong. Okay. And it was
But
and
if
it's
you can
only
drink
like
10 beers in 45 minutes and you're not Amy, then then something's wrong with the beer.
well, the thing is, Jim Bab, the Corona Premier is only like 4.2% or whatever.
That's what I'm saying. It's
So-
Kinda like-
defective. It's
Kind
defective.
of like the Sam 76.
It's a laxative.
Right. So it's just like, and he's a big guy himself. So, I mean, he's about a foot shorter than me, but he's a big guy. But he can down some brewskis. I only had 2 that day, so I was just like, after the second one, I was like, ugh.
But it's like half strength, So I'd rather drink like a 6 ounce, 12% beer,
Right.
and have to
Well,
endure
I totally
3%.
That's like this
You know,
one's
Jim
only
Bam, I totally
4.8.
agree with you on that, but but
Everybody, there's a lot of people like that. I mean, why do you think people are buying these like 30 packs of beer and stuff, right? I mean, like, some huge quantities of that
30
kind of beer
packs
people
of like,
consume.
what is it? Milwaukee's Best Ice.
no, Keystone Light. Come on now.
No, this dude at work, I mean, he plows through like a 30 pack in a couple days, and he buys like every couple of days. And I'm like, dude, how could you do that?
I worked with a dude
was
who
just like-
I worked for a guy that drank a whole case of Budweiser every day.
Wow.
Not to drink, just consumed
work
it like while he was working.
Wow.
Okay.
I
And
work-
then if he
I
wanted
work
to go drinking, he went to liquor.
I
Holy
work with
crap.
a guy who swears. I think he's bullshitting. Okay. He says he goes through 18-pack bottles of Miller Lite every day.
It's doable.
I'm
I
like,
believe it.
and you're still functioning?
Right.
Dude, this guy that I work for, it was in a pizza shop. His name was Nunzio. We would have these cases of Budweiser stacked behind the counter. Like there'd be like 15, 20 cases of Budweiser. People are like, yeah, can I get a Budweiser? I'm like, no, we don't sell that. But they're like, but I'm like, that's just for the owner, Like, oh. He would also
I believe it.
he'd also smoke 5 packs of Winston's.
Wow.
Every day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy crap.
I
was bad I was bad with half a pack of Newports a day.
I heard
No
he's
doubt.
still around. Get this. This was like 30 years ago. It's like early 90s. I don't know. How many years is that? Early 90s.
Late
I
80s,
worked
early
there.
90s, yeah.
I was telling a guy like that I used to work in the shopping center at that pizza restaurant that was there, and he goes, I wonder if it's the same guy. And I'm like, is his name Nunzio? He goes like, I don't know, but like he drinks a 6-pack every day. Like that's it.
Well, I mean, I don't know if the law still exists. I mean, it was like even if you worked at like Sam Adams, I have like other videos. I believe it was every day that you worked there, you would get a 6-pack for free when you went home, and then at the end of the week at payday, you would get a 12-pack when you went home.
See, if they were for real, they'd give you give it to you in the morning when you got there.
Well, I mean, being an actual brewer when you work there, you would drink all day. I mean, their taste testings happens at like 9 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
And Jim says that he tastes a sample of absolutely every single thing that they brew. So it's like he does this all day. And that's why you've seen that report before, where he keeps a little thing in his pocket up here of yeast and a wooden spoon. So therefore, he can eat that like little bit of yeast, active yeast, with a little bit of yogurt or something, because when it reacts inside your intestines, it actually eats the alcohol. So therefore, you don't get drunk. So he can keep drinking all day long.
What?
Yeah.
I don't understand. Yeast eats alcohol? I thought yeast is making alcohol.
Yes.
I thought yeast creates alcohol.
It does both. So if you actually eat a tablespoon of yeast per beer, it won't get you drunk. It eats the alcohol in your system before your liver can produce it or get through it.
I can't imagine under normal circumstances ever needing to do that, but
no. But I mean, he was like, in order to do my job and to taste every single beer that we produce in a day, he was like, I sample beers all day long. He was like, no matter with my interviews with tasting off the batches, he was like tasting out of the nano brewery, et cetera, et cetera. He was like, in order to do this, I had to figure out a way that I could do this all day long and not get drunk. So therefore, he came up with that. He's eating active yeast, active dry yeast.
I mean, I'm a vegetarian, so I wouldn't do that, but good for him.
Right. So he was like I tried it with just nothing. He was like, and it's just nasty because it's too grainy. He was like, so therefore, if you put it in a little bit of yogurt and then do it, he was like, it's feasible.
It's on your thing.
He said, so therefore,
like let's just say like you or I say we're like we get to like go out and have beers with Amy and we want to try to keep up. That might be something that we would we could try to deploy that.
Yes.
So we would at least give us a fighting chance.
Right. You might wind up with the shits again, but you will have a good fighting chance. I don't know with all that active yeast.
I don't know. I imagine it. It can't live long in your gut. I mean, so.
Oh, I wouldn't imagine. But at the same time, I was like, dude, that is like freaking ingenious.
Or say you had to go to some kind of a drinking contest.
Right. But at the same time, he let people know in his book, he was like, I carry 2 breathalyzers in my car. He was like, one, I test it as soon as I get in the car. He was like, and then I give it a minute and I sit in my car before I even started. He was like, I test the second one to make sure that I'm within the legal limit to drive.
Well, it would be bad PR if the president of a brewery got a DUI. They'd never live it down with Mad Mothers and all the other douchebags.
This dude is on point. I'm like, he doesn't get drunk half the time throughout the day. I said he breathalyzes himself, every time he drives. I'm like, he's on point every single time you go. And then I met I met one of the representatives here in Ohio at one point in time, and he was sitting there like he come in, he was strutting his stuff like, oh yeah, I work for Sam Adams. I was like, I flipped open my phone, I went through my photos. I was like, dude, I was just with your boss. Don't fuck with me. And he was like, oh, dude, you were talking to him and everything like that? I said, yeah.
He doesn't get to talk to him probably. Yeah.
Right. So he was like, I went up there for training up in Boston. He was like, and it was around Christmas time. He was like, and get this shit. He was like, I'm sitting there, and that guy you see from the commercials all the time, he was like the bald guy. I said, oh, Bob? Yeah, I know him too. He was like, yeah, that's him. Big burly beard. I said, yeah. I said, was he hanging around with Dean? Dean's the other head brewer up there. Duh. If you work for the company, you should know these people. He was like, yeah. He was like, I was up there for a taste testing, panel. He was like, and Bob taps me on the back. He was like, and all of a sudden he hands me this cup and was like, drink it. He was like, I look in the cup and it's a little, yellow substance about this much in a plastic cup. He was like, no, I'm not going to drink this. He was like, I don't know what it is. He was like, so he ripped the cup out of my hand and then gave me a dirty look the rest of the day. He was like, you know what it was? I said, no, I don't. You just said it was yeast? A little yellow substance. It was active yeast, active brewing yeast. He said they do it to newbies every time to give them the shits the first day.
That's why they did it to him?
Yeah, they were trying to give him the shits because he was a newbie. Because that's what they do up there. He was like, they go through and any of the newbies, they give a little cup of active yeast. So it would give you the shits for the day. So it would deter you from ever coming back.
Sounds like a real great group of folks.
I started laughing and he was like, yeah, he was like, it was funny and all. He was like, we kind of like shrugged it off and everything. He was like, but I'm standing there at the Christmas party that year. He was like, and then I feel this tap on my back. He was like, I turn around and it's Jim. He was like, oh, hey, how you doing, sir? How you doing? He was like, I'm good. He was like, do you smoke? He was like, no, I don't. He was like, huh. Well, I'm looking for a cigarette. I need a cigarette. He was like, and I can't get down to the corner store. He was like, because, if I use my credit card, he was like, because I don't have cash on me at the time. He was like, if I use my credit card, my wife is going to kill me if she finds out that I'm smoking again. I started dying laughing. I'm like, this dude's worth $1 billion and he's worried about what his wife's going to say to him.
Why wouldn't he be?
I'm like, I'm dying laughing. And he was like, yeah, the thing that worried me is that he didn't have absolutely any cash on him at the time. I'm like, well, he's at work. He didn't feel like that he was going to go anywhere. I said, therefore, he actually got inebriated enough that he needed a cigarette. And he was just going around trying to bum something off of somebody like a bum.
Well, if he hadn't been an asshole, then somebody would have given him one.
No, I'm surprised that he still didn't get it before the end of the night.
He probably did.
Yeah. But just hearing stories from, one of my favorite brewers and, brewery owners was still just funny. It was just like, something somewhere told me, this dude's a smoker, but at the same time, he's like a closet smoker only because of the fact that he travels and he hikes and he rides bikes and he does canoeing and he does rowboats and, everything underneath the sun. He's very, very active for his age. So I'm like, he's in very good health and yet he's a chronic drinker. So I'm like 2 thumbs up to him.
What he's got to test out the product.
Right.
It's his job.
Right.
To make sure that his brewmasters are on point.
There it is.
Heck, I do the same thing too. I'd be like, yeah, I gotta test this out.
Right.
Yeah, I'd be living at the brewery. There would be like a studio, right next to the brewery. Yeah.
I'm telling you, you would have a cot upstairs. You would come home to make sure your family's okay and that they're doing good and that if they needed anything, and then you would go back to work.
At least once a week.
Oh, see, there you go. Oh, that's funny.
So, Jim Bab, have you had anything worth talking about beer-wise since the beginning of the year or something?
Yeah. Let's see. Did I tell you about my trip to Pizza Boy? I don't know if I.
No, you didn't. No, you didn't.
Okay. Pizza Boy. Well, I was driving out to Ademo's trial a couple weeks ago.
Right,
Okay.
and you came back, and that was the episode that you came back from.
Okay, so I probably mentioned my Pizza Boy trip, which is a great Pennsylvania brewery. Huge amount of beers on tap, like must have been 25 of their own. Plus a bunch of Tired Hands and some other breweries. It was impressive, but shitty pizza. That was my review for them. But I'd definitely need to go back because I only had a chance to try a couple. I took home a can of sour double IPA. They called it something like some kind of, I don't know, more of a sour than an IPA, but shared that with some friends and nobody liked it. So, but it was sours are, sours are kind of not that popular. So, if you're into sours, it's probably good though. I kind of liked it, but it came in one of those, they fill crowlers, those cans they seal right there.
Right.
32-ounce cans.
Yeah. I think that's a great way to sell beer. I'm really excited to see. I'd love to see more of that.
Yep.
And I don't know. I don't think things last a really long time in them, but it's still really convenient. So much better than glass growlers. I mean, what a pain in the ass.
You got to drink in a crowler. You got to drink that within 3 or 4 days of canning.
You probably should you probably should a growler too. I assume it's the same.
Depending on the growler too, because if you got those like latch systems. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. Like, they have
I'm talking
like Hill Farmstead.
Right. Those ones last a long time. Right. Where if you get an actual like 32-ounce or a 64-ounce growler that has like one of those twist top lids, those don't last as long.
This wasn't a twist off, so I'm not sure. It was more like a regular can, just 32 ounces.
I still think that those last a week.
For all I didn't check, but I'm assuming there's a way to like fill it with inert gas, like instead of oxygen, even in the top hole.
Yeah, I would believe so, because even one of the places that I get my growlers from here also does a shot of gas inside of the actual growler before they fill it.
Right. So, which. It kind of makes sense. You don't want oxidation, so by eliminating the oxygen, you're going to, just reduce the amount of chemical reaction that can take place inside there. But yeah, I don't know what they use, carbon dioxide or nitrogen, but I've seen that at growler fills. But these cans are the way to go because, first of all, it's difficult to have your growlers with you. Like how many times have you been to a brewery and like, oh, I'd love to take a growler away, but I don't want to have not growler number 25 shit, and but you're like, well, I need the growler, so you end up buying more and more and more, and then then you have to transport them and clean them, and these things like completely recyclable. You just freaking take it home, drink it, crush it, move on. So
one of my best friends from DC, he just I think within the last couple of years, he donated almost 300 growlers to a brewery that pretty much like hung them up all over their walls and covered their walls in his growlers.
That's fun. I've had I've had like a brewery like ask to like swap. Like I might show them. Like they see where my growler's from. They're like, hey, would you be willing to swap us for one? And I think that's kind of fun.
I prefer those. Like if I'm getting a glass growler, I prefer like the swing top, kind of lids to it. But yeah, like you said, the growlers, man, those are the way to go. Even Sam's is doing them now.
It's living in the future. I'd love to see humankind advance. It's like to me on par with like putting that Tesla in space.
That was funny.
This is a similar level of achievement of human greatness.
That thing has got Rocket Man playing it on a loop on it. That was funny. I was loving that.
Did you see that, Chris?
No, I did not.
Check the YouTube.
I also heard, okay, that they did it cheaper than what NASA would have done it for.
Yep, I seen that.
I'm sure they did, but I think they also get various government contracts and shit. So it's not like it's a super free market triumph, but it's way better than NASA.
Yeah, I mean this dude.
Yes.
I mean, number one, he also he was a billionaire to begin with. So I mean, it made it easier for him to do this, and then he put his own Tesla up there, and it had
it's reusable vehicles. NASA was said let's take a road trip and throw away the car every time when we're done. These guys perfected the, hey, maybe we can save the car after a road trip and go on another road trip.
Well, yeah, that's what I was loving too, because he was like 2 out of 3 of the engines came back and landed. It was the third one that was in the water that he said it was like a problem with the platform. It was like, I don't know if it was a smaller landing zone or what the problem was.
I heard it was what some of the rockets didn't fire, and it wasn't enough to slow the trajectory.
Okay.
So it hit. I heard it hit the water at 300 might have been miles an hour or kilometers an hour, but let's just say I haven't seen any video of it, but
back into the atmosphere, everybody that was watching heard the sonic boom as they were coming back.
Chris, check out the video on YouTube, because just Google SpaceX. As they do the play-by-play during these launches, it is freaking incredible. The camera angles, the detail of information you get about the mission, the velocity. And I've watched several of these. They really had their production down at SpaceX on really presenting it and just really showing you how fucking cool it is. Because I don't care what, I mean, it is just, I've seen it before where they're releasing satellites and shit, and you're seeing the mission play out just as it's happening. But you can watch the video afterwards, but it just takes you step by step through everything, including these incredible camera angles of the boosters landing, hitting a bullseye from space. And this last one, they had 2 of those land side by side, perfectly synchronized. It was, I mean, it was pure poetry in this scene. I was amazed.
I was hoping that the third one would have landed too, but.
Yeah, I mean, that would have been stick in the landing.
2 out of 3, it was still amazing.
Right, and those side boosters had been on other missions before as well. So it's and they're probably going to go on more missions.
I don't doubt that one bit.
But I just, and Elon, if you're listening, you bet, I think there's a good chance he watches Beer and Bullshit Show. Just want to say, good job, but seriously. Watch those Pentagon contracts. I know they're going to be tempting. I know the government's going to want to pay you to take a lot of this shit into space, but just tell them to fuck off, okay? Thanks, Elon. All right.
That's good.
He might watch this. You never know.
Oh yeah, it could come up. I mean, just because you said his name, it might come up in the radar.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
It'd be like, who is the Beer Bullshit Show talking about me for?
What the hell is this shit?
Right. Skips past New York Times, CNN, BBC.
Yeah. And you could see him being on some kind of interview and say, I did this because some dude on the Beer and Bullshit Show, you want to check him out, told me to do this, and
the government started warning me that the Beer and Bullshit Show started,
and then we get a huge spike in numbers. Like one episode is like 50,000 or 100,000, views. It's like, where the hell did these people come from?
We're just gonna start naming everything in our episodes. It's gonna be like Sam Adams, Boulevard, Worstener, SpaceX, whatever it is, and we're just gonna start throwing out all these plugs. Sooner or later, it's gonna happen.
You know what would be fun though, to actually generate interest, if we do a this versus this kind of a thing.
Dude, I've done something similar. What I did was, when Sam's actually came out in cans, when they did the actual Sam Adams Boston Lager can, I did the Boston Lager can versus the Boston Lager bottle. That happens to be the biggest review that I've ever done, over 1,000 views.
But I'm guessing that it's not that controversial, right? But
Well,
if you
no,
say
it
that
actually-
what I want to do is get the fanboys and the haters to generate traffic. You know,
it actually did, because number one, I mean, you got can boys versus bottle people.
Right.
And then you got people that were like, okay, well, there's not going to be very much difference. I said, depends on how you drink it as well.
Did you do a blind taste test?
I closed my eyes. I picked up one, tasted it, picked up the other, tasted it, and was like, okay. And then I poured them both into glasses, separate glasses, and then I tasted them both, and I could still tell that there was a difference.
But that wasn't a blind taste test.
Well, it's the same beer.
Yeah, but did you know which was which when you were drinking it?
Well, as soon as you pick it up off of the table, you know which one you're drinking.
I would be.
I mean, I did.
I'd be more interested in, like, for instance, an assistant pours them into glasses and sets them out for you.
Oh, I could still do it.
But that would be more. I think that would be more.
I could still, especially if it was that specific beer, I could still tell you which one came from the can or which one came from the bottle.
But what if we like did a show where we each have, let's just say, name two beers that are like kind of neck and neck competitors. Like Chris mentioned that one that he's going to do one on the new Corona versus what was the one you're going to do a Corona comparison with?
Corona compare the Premier. I'm going to have the Premier, the regular Corona, and the Corona Light versus the Michelob Ultra.
Oh.
Hey, you know what? If you open yourself to being surprised, you might find they're not as horrible as you think they're going to be.
Well, the thing is that the Corona people created Corona Premier Constellation Brands, created Corona Premier, and this is straight out of the mouths of the reps from Constellation. To compete with Michelob Ultra, which now the Ultra, style or whatever is now a segment of itself.
What is Ultra style?
Right.
It's supposed to be geared towards a certain segment of the population.
But
is
it a marketing thing, or is it an actual category of? Is there something?
It's an actual category. It's like the lightest of the light.
It's an actual category geared towards a certain segment of the population. Now, the Michelob Ultra attracts middle-aged women from like 35 to 55 or something like that. That's where they get the majority of their sales from. And it's true, because I see a lot of women, in that age group pick up Ultra.
Is it low calorie or something, or is it it's an extra light?
The Ultra is like about 90 calories. The Premier is about 90 calories as well.
What's one of our beers normally?
Oh, good luck.
So
at least three times.
That's a segment that they're going after. That's a segment that they're going after.
Okay.
So, well,
can I ask you a question about Corona? And tell me if this is a myth or if there's any basis in this.
Okay.
I heard that Corona got its start. Somebody bought a bunch of beer really cheap in Mexico. And they're like, oh, we're going to make a fortune with this. So they bought up a whole bunch of, I don't know, railroad car beer or something. They brought it to home or whatever. And they tried, they're like, oh shit, it went bad. Crap. This shit's skunked. It's horrible. What are we going to do with it?
Okay.
They're like, well, put a lime in it. Try putting a lime in it. And they're like, all right, so they put a lime in it to cover the bad taste. And a genre of beer was launched. Is this?
Well, I know, especially for lagers, if you're going to brew lagers, even if it's a light lager, it's still going to have a metallic taste. So I think that's another reason why that they're putting the lime in there, is to kind of cut that metallic taste.
Right.
But is there any truth to the story? Ever heard it before?
I don't know if there's any truth to that story at all.
And Jim, all I know is that I have some friends down in Mexico that won't drink it.
that won't drink Corona because they call that the Budweiser of beers down there.
Right.
Okay.
I have some people that come
they
from.
will literally tell you. They will literally tell you, we like Tecate, Dos Equis, Modelo, because Corona is like what you guys would call Budweiser up in the United States. They will not drink
the same thing coming from Sydney in Australia. They're like, Foster's is our shit beer.
Yes. Even though it's not even brewed in Australia, it's brewed here in the United States.
Yep. Same recipe. They were like, that's still our shit beer.
Right.
But just to let you know, Jim Babez, for calories, one of my Boston lagers is 175 calories.
Okay, what would a good beer be? Like 300?
It depends on the beer. Actually, it would also depend on the style as well.
Right. Are you looking for an IPA or are you looking for stout?
Well, I'm just thinking,
it all depends.
Does it generally correlate with alcohol content, or is there a variation that departs from alcohol content?
Depending on the malts, depending on how much malts.
So the question is, what's the highest amount of alcohol per unit of carb? That's the real that's the real factor number we need to get to. Right. Like, you don't want to drink a high calorie beer that doesn't have alcohol in it, and because you're getting extra sugars and crap that you really don't, you wouldn't want to have. But a beer that doesn't have a lot of excess sugars, would I presumably be lower in calories. Also, wouldn't taste too sweet.
There you go.
And
I got a little bit of a list right now.
Okay.
Amstel Light. Have you ever heard of that beer?
I've heard of it.
Yes,
Are you looking at these are calories? So what we need to do is take the calories, multiply by alcohol content.
Here it is. Alcohol is 3.5, calories are 95, and carbs are 5.
Okay. So anyway, somebody should come up with the dieter's guide to craft beer.
Anchor Steam is 4.5 or 4.9% alcohol. Calories are 125. The next one that actually boils them down per calories and carbs is Blue Moon. Blue Moon, the Blue Moon White is 5.4. It's 171 calories and 12.9 carbs. Now, if you get down towards the Budweiser does it as well, and they say Budweiser US Budweiser is 5.0, 143, and that's 10.6 carbs. So, I mean, if you're going to do the math
on that, because I'm not going to do it. I wouldn't drink any of those beers anyway.
Right. I think the people that are actually going to do this is the cheaper brands anyway, because people that are drinking craft beer really don't worry about it.
That is so true.
That is true. If you're going to go for taste, and you're not going to worry about the lighter taste and lighter style to begin with.
Yeah, but most of the time, Scott, when craft beer drinkers don't drink to get drunk.
Right. Okay? I mean, we're not sitting here trying to guzzle them down.
Yeah, we're not trying to guzzle like a 6-pack of freaking Hop Stupid. Okay.
Yeah, get a case of those bombers.
Yeah. Well, actually, they come in 6-packs now, James.
That's right. Amy could handle it, but
right. I mean, as a craft beer, a member of the craft beer community, okay, we're not sitting there going, man, I'm gonna go get drunk tonight. I'm gonna grab a case of whatever and just get shit faced. Okay, no, we're just sitting there, doing whatever we're doing, drinking it.
Just for your people that watch for St. Patty's Day, the Guinness says that it's Guinness Draft at 4.0, and it's 125 and 10 carbs.
Right.
So therefore, I mean, they can go get drunk on Guinness all day long.
I wonder how this compares to wine.
I think, to be honest with you, it'd probably be heavier.
more calories per unit of alcohol.
I
Right.
think so within beer compared to wine. That is
But
definitely
that
an
I think that's
interesting
the
concept.
I think that's the difference between craft beer drinkers and just the regular,
Regular beer
uh,
drinkers.
the ordinary beer drinker, right?
Right,
Is
right.
that is like ours may the craft beer drinker it may be higher in carbs, but we're not drinking as many, okay, per se. But someone who's drinking Budweiser all night or Miller
Oh,
Lite
dude,
or
they're going to
Coors Light
slam
all
that 30
night,
pack.
okay, they're slamming those 12, 18, 30, 24 packs, okay, they're going to have a higher carb intake in the long run.
Wow, here
So-
you go. What you were talking about Michelob. So Michelob is 5.0, 155, and 13.3. Then you go down to the Michelob Light, which is 4.3. It's 113 and 6.7. But if you go up to the Amber Bock, and the Amber Bock is 5.2, it's 116, and then it jumps up to 15 carbs. But if you go down to the Ultra is 4.2, it's
Right.
95, and it's 2.6 carbs.
Right. That's where the Corona Premier is challenging the Michelob Ultra right now. Is that because they're hitting a segment population where people are watching their figure, okay,
Oh, crap.
especially women, okay, and that these people are like, oh, I just had a workout. What am
Okay,
I going to do?
here's one
I
for
want to
Jim
go out
Bab.
and have a few beers. So what do? They go and buy an Ultra because they know the Ultra is low in carbs.
Makes sense.
This one's for
I
you,
mean,
Jim Bab.
It does
You
make
ever had
sense.
the Sierra Nevada Bigfoot Ale?
Yes.
I've seen it, but I don't
Yes.
remember if I've ever had it.
9.0, it's 330, and it's 30.3 carbs.
Oh my
300
God.
and you said 330 calories,
Yes.
and how many carbs?
30.3.
30.3.
Wow,
Now,
it
if
must
you're
be
wa-
full of,
now,
it
if
must
you're
be full
watching-
of sugar.
It is.
Um,
It's a barley wine.
Here you go. That right
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, it's a barley
is it,
wine.
Is it super sweet?
Not
Not
super
really.
sweet.
No.
It's more malty sweet than it is anything, but at
Yes.
the same time, I would still give it as a residual sugar base.
How
Right.
would you
Um,
compare it to, say, a Backwoods Bastard?
Oh, especially hold on. I just seen some Stone.
Backwoods Bastard is Founders.
Yeah, I know. I was looking to see if Stone had anything. The only
I'm
thing
sure they
Stone
do.
has is Arrogant Bastard, and that's 7.2, but they don't have any of the other literature there. Founders.
Does that count as a barley wine, Arrogant Bastard?
No, I think that's just a stock ale.
Yeah, that's a stock ale.
All right, Founders. Actually, Founders is not on this list. This list is actually old. Because I'm pretty sure that we could probably figure out more of the alcohol content and carb system from other places.
Well, Scott, since you kind of brought up that the Sierra Nevada, the Bigfoot,
Okay.
I'm drinking the Hot Bullet.
Oh, nice. How is that?
It's actually good. It's a double IPA. We ran through this stuff through our distributor like that.
I was gonna say
So-
I kind of like stayed back from it and I didn't pick it up because I didn't hear anybody actually like give it good, reviews.
I really like it. I mean, it's a good double IPA for that price point. So
Ooh, how old is this? I know it's got a
That's
2017.
that's got to be at
Okay.
least 3 years old Did you
No,
just
this-
open up the Bigfoot?
Yes, I did.
That's got to be at least 3 years old. Because that's the old. Oh, it's the new one. Wow, they changed
Yep.
the label. They
Yep.
changed the label. Okay. Awesome.
Do they still make that triple IPA? What was it called? Like
Shit.
it's a green package.
Yeah. What was that? Hop something. I pitted that beer against the Hop Slam at one point in time.
I used to like that one. I would buy that one when I'd see it, like for a while. But
what was that?
just Google it. You're on the internet.
Tornado or torpedo?
Not
the
torpedo.
Torpedo's the single IPA.
Okay.
It's an extra IPA. Sorry.
I got a lot of mileage out of Torpedo. You know, that was been a real like good beer over the years to get a 12-pack for like $1 a beer. Like,
Yeah,
it's really
you know
still
what?
good.
You know what, Jim Bab? You've met him. You met him at in 2010. My friend Ray Foster. He kind of got me pushed into the craft beer.
That's
the
it.
Yeah.
Optimum.
Optimum. Right. He kind of got me going towards that the craft beer, and I had tried a few IPAs, and I just, for some reason in the beginning, I did not like IPAs. So he's like, what have you had? And I told him what I had, and he goes, rewind, go back, go grab yourself a 6-pack or Torpedo, or of the Sierra Nevada Torpedo. And I was like, okay. So I grabbed some Torpedo, I drank it, and I go, this is pretty good. He goes, now, that's your baseline IPA. Now you go up from there. So I was like, all right. And now, to me, the hoppier the better. So
I just looked it up. I don't know if you can see this, but it looks like they've got, I guess, does Sierra Nevada have new labels for all their beers?
That way.
Yes, they do.
There we go.
There it is. Oh yeah. That's the one I seen.
I haven't seen the new ones yet because we haven't ran through the old ones. But those are the new labels that are coming out. Yes.
9.6%. Yeah, I don't want to know how many calories this one is. I bet you it's probably
Who cares?
400.
It's probably
Who
in
cares?
like high 200s to 300s.
Yeah. Who cares? You're only gonna drink a couple of them anyway.
Per sitting.
Per city.
You should pair it with an aged Monterey Jack.
Oh, I would. As pungent as that beer is, I would. I really would. And that's just good, especially on some crackers.
Which one? The Optimum?
The Optimum.
Optimum.
Yeah.
It's such a bold flavor, though. It's gonna pretty much destroy anything you put it next to. So
I would almost pair it with a blue cheese as well.
That might be too many huge things. I don't know. Why not? You know what? Why not?
I would get a roasted cracker, so you get some kind of like burnt flavors with some of that blue cheese flavor. It's not kind of that pungent, kind of like fermented cheese flavor, and then put that on top of it and kind of try to pair it with that, because therefore you're going to get a little bit of like that juicy grapefruit bitterness and leafy bitterness with all that pungent like fermentation. That's just, that sounds so good.
I had a beer where it was, I'm trying to remember where it was now. It was advertised as having flavors from burnt malt, I think burnt and ashes. Okay. Oh. They're like, yeah, it tastes like ashes. Here you go.
Nice.
Have some. I'm trying to remember what it was.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, I love stouts. So the more burnt quality, the more ashier, the more roasted notes. I find that more pleasing because of the fact that, most people are just like, oh, well, that's off-putting because of the fact that you can get some tannins, et cetera, et cetera. And I'm like, well, it's like, it depends on if the brewery does a proprietary roasting process, or if they get their malts roasted already. I said, you can also taste the difference because then you can taste the freshness of the roast, kind of like you do with your coffee.
Right. The one that I'm mentioning was disappointing because it didn't deliver on I didn't taste the burnt or the ash.
Oh.
So I didn't really, it just tasted like whatever the other base beer was. It didn't really like jump out as being different, but Tired Hands had some great beers for the past couple months. They've really got some good saisons, and I'm not really a saison drinker, but I always get whatever saisons they have. Their flagship is called Saison Hands. Do you guys ever get Tired Hands?
I don't believe I do.
I don't get it either.
Make it a point if you guys ever come to Philly, make it a point. It's in Ardmore. Make it a point to get out to Tired Hands.
That's like one of my hit points because I'm coming out. I really shouldn't say this on air, just in case my mom actually watches videos. But I will be out sometime this summer.
That's right.
I won't say when.
I won't say when,
Mom. I won't say when, Mom.
But because I won't be here, so you're.
Well,
yeah.
I know you
always
won't.
have a plan. I've already been up there in Boston, and I've done that whole trip. I've already been to DC, and I've done that whole trip. I have yet to be to Philly. I need to still do the Philly trip for historical purposes.
But the two places I want to go to is where you had just mentioned, Jim Bab, and then Free Will Brewing up in Perkinsey.
Okay, I see them around a lot, but I don't think I've had more than one beer, and I don't really remember it. So.
And they're supposed to be doing some really good stuff. And then I don't know if I haven't heard anything from them lately. That Neshaminy Creek or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I haven't heard really anything from them in a while. So.
What was their IPA that's really good?
Shape of Hops to Come.
That's
Shape of Hops to Come. That's right. It was a highly rated beer on Untapped.
That's a good one.
Well, if you're driving across and you come across Pennsylvania, stop at Pizza Boy in Harrisburg. It's not far off the route, just driving across the state.
Well, so, you know him. If I'm in Harrisburg and if I go to Harrisburg and I've been there and he'll kick my ass. All right. Willie, Big Willie.
Willie Harmon, of course.
Yes. If I go to Harrisburg, I have to see him. It is imperative. Okay. He will whoop my butt. I haven't seen him in a long time. He will whoop my butt if I go to Harrisburg and he don't see me. So that is definitely.
I always enjoyed hanging out with him. Yeah, I always enjoyed hanging out with him at early LPPA events.
Yeah. So I hung out with him last time I was out that way in 2012. So
nice.
Yeah, that's my buddy. Him and I are forever linked because of the whole what was that documentary back in 2004?
Freedom to Fascism?
No, that was in 2006.
Okay.
Something Crashing the Parties.
Oh, interesting. Was that about like Badnarik and the Green Guy or something? Or
yeah, it featured Aaron Russo and Badnarik and Cobb and the guy that wound up getting the Constitution Party bid that year, and one other person. And they just they did it was just a documentary on third parties that year, and one of the scenes was my 10 seconds of fame. Okay, and when Aaron Russo came out of and it was after the debates, and me and Willie were high-fiving each other right behind Aaron Russo. So
nice. I remember Willie, like in that hall and at the convention in Atlanta, this Jeep bass was going Russo.
Yeah,
This
that
must
was my
have resonated, dog. Man. Yep. Like, wow, that dude's got some lungs, man.
Yeah, I remember that. Him and I we just like connected really well then, and he's like, we were looking at each other, we're like, "You libertarian?" He's like, "You libertarian?" He goes, "There aren't many black libertarians here." so yeah.
Nice.
Those were the days, man. Oh my goodness. Oh, memories.
Man, everybody seems to be all butthurt in the LP again. It's one butthurt to the next for that crew.
Oh, I know,
man.
right? I was just like,
I try not to enjoy the misery, you know.
It's just like every other day there's something new that's come out, you know. I was just like, get over it. It's like, God, really? Get over it.
They need to all get over themselves. They need to get all over themselves and be like, guys, it just like, you know, all of these wheels, they spin against one another, you know, that are they're not doing anything to advance liberty as they battle each other for control of a political party, you know, like
no, it's not just they battle each other for control of a political party. They battle control of a useless political party. Okay?
Right, there's not even any power. It doesn't even come with power. Right?
It's not like they're Democrats or Republicans. Okay.
Right. There's a logical reason to want to take over the Democratic or Republican Party because they have power. Right.
Right. But the LP, what's the biggest office holder? Some mayor in some town in freaking Utah, maybe. Okay. It just doesn't make sense, you know.
But it just shows the you know, everything that I hate about politics in general, the whole like left-right spectrum, you know, whether it was Trump versus Hillary or the usual, you know, it's just so cliche, so tired from you got fascists, you got fucking communists, you got Democrats, Republicans, like this whole shit, like it's out there. Like the Libertarian, which for me, party was supposed to be like a refuge from that crap, you know, where like everybody, no, we're all libertarian here. You know, we don't have to have a battle of left versus right, do we? You know, like now it seems they just let everybody in. You know, and the libertarians are gone. So everybody that's in is now, they've recreated their left-right tribal model within the LP. And it's now the Mises Caucus, right? And then you've got representing, you know, intersecting like sort of the Hoppian, like right-wing kind of people. And then like you've got like people that call themselves libertarian socialists. Have you seen these people on the internet?
Yes, I'm friends with Mike Shipley. Oh, whatever.
Rent is theft and stuff. Oh,
Rent
okay.
is theft.
All right, dude. Whatever. You know, like so. You know, and then these two camps are constantly like enraging each other, right? Can you believe?
Don't forget the radical control freak caucus.
The quote unquote radical caucus, I guess I would call them just the status quo. They're like, please, just whatever. Don't rock the boat caucus. We're just trying to go to the next meeting, you know, and like people that are just, you know, whatever. That's for the party, you know, for the party's sake, and that's it. You know, that's the end game for them. Useless, right? So you've got useless people in the center, and then this whole left-right spectrum has decided to battle it out. Any few remaining libertarians are expected to pick a side now, and that, well, are you going to support the Mises Caucus or the Audacious Caucus, or the, you know, like, they're all, and they get all butthurt, and it's just, to me, like, it looks exactly like Trump versus Hillary all over again. I'm like,
all over
wow.
again. Just
way to go, guys.
Just within a smaller spectrum, and just
right, like a teacup. It's like a little mini, or like a snow globe of reality. You know?
Right, and it's like, what have you guys accomplished, really? And you want me to come back? Well, accomplish something first, okay?
Anything.
And then we might talk. When we might talk.
Man,
it's ridiculous.
And then the fact that Ron Paul got dragged into it recently was even more amusing. They're like, did you read that the comments from the convention committee dude who was like, no, we don't want Ron Paul, but what do you think about Glenn Beck?
It's like really, I rather prefer Ron Paul than Glenn Beck. Okay.
Right. Well, Ron's speaker fees were going to be donated, so all they needed was a speaking slot for Ron. No. You know, nope. Like, only thing I ever heard for justification was, well, he hasn't done anything for the party. They said. What has he done for the party?
That's bullshit. That is bullshit, because 2/3 of the people who are party members now wouldn't be party members if it weren't for fucking Ron Paul.
He was the candidate. He's a lifetime member, etc. Now, to Nick Sarwark's credit, he did make a statement that he said, whoa, we just honored Ron Paul with his, you know, in 2016, he's a lifetime member. And he said, I will personally make sure there's a speaking slot available for Ron. Okay. So at least Nick, you know, jumped in and did some damage control, but not before everyone is like, then the opponents of this idea to have Ron were acting like, oh, can you believe that Mises Caucus demanding that Ron Paul be hired for $35,000 speaker fee? You know, like, how dare they demand, you know, like, and acting like it was the speaker fees were the reason that Ron, you know, wasn't chosen. Completely intentionally misrepresenting the fact that the speaker fees weren't even part of the equation. Like, Jesus, people
trying to make him sound more expensive than what he really was.
Right.
And imagine a donor that says, yeah, I'll cover the tab for Napolitano and Ron Paul, which is probably between the two of them $50,000 easily.
But at the same time, didn't Ron sit there and say that he was going to donate his speaker fees?
I didn't hear anything about that.
I don't know. I was just asking, because normally he does, you know, depending on the situation.
Well, I don't know about that.
We'll just remember, Jim Bab, the Libertarian Party has a history of inviting non-libertarians, okay, to speak at their convention.
Like Augustus and Victus.
Orrin Hatch, okay, Orrin Hatch in the 90s, okay, freaking, what was his, Neil Bortz, remember? That was the year you and I met.
Remember Bortz at 2004?
In 2004 at the Atlanta convention. That's where we met.
Yeah, and nothing changes, does it? That whole Bortz thing, it's being played out today exactly the same. Well, here's a guy that, like, Bortz, it was a warmonger. He was like,
he was a warmonger, but he was opponent of the fair tax. I was like,
he was a pro-tax warmonger, and he said, yeah, I call myself a libertarian. And they just like, oh, swooning at just true love, because he's a celebrity who said the word libertarian, despite the fact, I think he was like pro-drug war, pro-like bombing Iraq, pro-invasion, pro-tax. Like the dude's like the most fucking awful authoritarian douche like on the radio. But he said he's a libertarian
at that time, right?
Look, wow.
And then just remember that we had Bob Barf, okay, on the LNC, okay.
All right.
And then he literally freaking him and Root.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Unbelievable that those guy that guy got the anointed.
It's like, oh yeah, they're libertarians. I was like, yeah. As I'm hearing, I'm not a racist in St. Louis.
Yeah.
Wait, was there a convention in San Francisco? Or wait, I went to another LP. No, not St. Louis. Yeah, St. Louis. It was Atlanta where I met you. St. Louis. You remember the
St. Louis? Is that's where
I gotta go, guys.
Okay.
All right, bud.
All right. Thanks for everything.
All right. Thanks, Scott. No, St. Louis is where I saw you in 10, and then the last time I really saw you was at Portfest in 2012. So yeah, in 10.
The Bob Barr. This was I don't know. It was like a year or two after.
Okay.
What's his name had been Bob Barr. So it was like he was coming back now to the convention as a speaker at the convention. Okay, if you can believe that, right? So I went and I had an event in the bar. I called it Bar
Right.
Not Bar. Oh, you went to wait, you were there. Oh, you were okay.
Yeah,
Never
in
mind.
St. Louis.
So,
Right.
yeah. Right. Bar not bar, which was kind of silly when you think about it. But
I think more people attended that than they actually in the convention hall listening to Bob Barr.
I don't know. I was in the bar. So
I was in the bar, right. I was in the bar with you. So I even still have pictures of you and I in that bar.
Oh, cool.
So
yeah, you know who else I met in that bar? The dude from Nevada who got shot by police. You know who I'm talking about?
Oh, I know who you're talking about.
It was like it's something that started with like, oh, your inspection sticker's not valid, and ended up with him getting shot,
right?
And living, and like going to jail for not dying, like resisting bullets. He was charged with or something.
Last name is Dunzing.
That's it. Yeah. Remember that guy's story? He got, oh, they were tasering him. Okay.
Right.
And he had a heart condition and he thought he's going to die. Okay. And it seems reasonable, right? You're being electro tortured and maybe you have a heart problem.
Right.
Yeah. That's a reasonable, So he pulled out the electrodes and ran, and then they shot his ass.
Right. Jim Dunzing.
Yeah.
Jim Dunzing. Yep. I was Facebook friends with him for a while. Yep.
I don't know. I haven't heard from him in years, but yeah, that's it's pretty hardcore. I mean, it's like,
I know.
Fuck. I have a lot of friends that have been on the receiving end of the state, but that's the receiving end. I mean, that's rough. But at least
speaking of friends from the receiving end of the state, who have done no harm, in my opinion, okay, because we both come from the same school of thought. All right. Have you even heard from Farnsworth?
Yeah, from time to time. I haven't seen him directly in a while, but I know he's involved with Toastmasters, and Christina goes to the Toastmasters that he's in. So like he still does Toastmasters, but once he got out of jail, he really kind of dropped off his public, just really even doing anything.
I would imagine.
And I haven't invited him to anything recently, but I did for years, but he would just never come to anything. So I guess I just eventually stopped inviting him, but
yeah,
because, he had kind of gotten out of jail like right around the Ron Paul revolution time, if I recall, or whatever, but
Right.
like he'd been out of the circuit. And I'm like, dude, I want to come in and introduce you to all these Ron Paul guys, you know what I mean? And like tell them your story. Like these people they haven't heard any of this. They don't know any of this stuff. That's all right. Like, I don't blame him, but I think it's been a struggle for him for his career, get his career going again and stuff like that is very difficult.
Right. Right.
I've
heard from him. What was it? It was back. I looked through my old email account. I don't even check email anymore. I was just like, it's 2/3 of it's garbage. That I get, and I get this email from Arthur Farnsworth. I was like, okay, and he's like, hey, are you still around? I was just like, yeah, the email was like maybe like 3 or 4 months old. So I gave him a call and, let him know how I'm doing,
That's
what
good.
I'm doing and stuff in my life or whatnot. But that was like, I think it was like 3 or 4 years ago. So
he needs to run for office again.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like I said, a lot of those guys I don't even hang out. I'm not even really, Facebook friends anymore with Rich Piotrowski fell off the map.
He turned out to be a total douche though.
Oh, I know, he did.
I don't know where he went wrong, but man, he really became a hater of libertarianism instead of an advocate. And
I'm still friends with Barry Schneider and
how about I do talk to Barry Dively every once in a while. So
oh, do you?
Yeah.
Yeah. But a lot of those guys they just fell off the map. So
David John I still see.
Yeah, David John, right?
He's probably the most solid motherfucker in that whole group of all the people I've met.
You know who I really miss is he kept the LPPA in check for the longest time, and he had passed away in the early 2000s. I think you know who I'm talking about.
Not Burley Etzel, right? No,
not Bernie Etzel, but I knew Bernie too. Fuck. His name's right on the tip of my tongue.
In Pennsylvania?
Yes, in Pennsylvania. And I know you've met him. He was like active in the Pennsylvania party for like years. Oh, John Famulera.
Oh, yeah, I never really knew him, but I guess I had heard of him, but I don't think I ever met him face to face.
Oh, okay. Well, he passed away, I think it was like 10 years ago, about 10, 12 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And I went to LPPA back in the day, like in the 90s, like 96, 97, or when I lived out in Bucks County. And I went out there and he's just like, oh, you're hardcore, you're just like a borderline anarchist and stuff like that. But him and I kept in touch for the longest time. So John Famulera, he was a really decent libertarian.
I've sort of stopped associating with a lot of those libertarians, like Ken Krawchuk. I don't associate with anymore. I like, I've always kind of considered him a friend, but he's always been a shitty libertarian. And
what do you mean by that?
Well, like he's more of like a Ayn Rand, like
objectivist.
Yeah, like it's just kind of dumb on stuff, like never really fully libertarian. But still useful, and I considered him a friend. But when that whole Augustus Invictus shit came through,
oh yeah,
Sort of like there were some like sides taken, and like we did our Monco hospitality suite at the convention. Like so this dude Invictus was going to be at the convention. I'm like, well, if we're doing our hospitality suite, he's definitely not going to be invited to that. Like because it's a party I'm hosting, right? Like I'm not. I said I'm not fucking pouring beers for fucking eugenicists that are calling themselves libertarian. Fuck it, no. Like
I don't
you know
blame
so. I'm like, so, and I was like, you know, well, what do you guys think? You know, and they're like, well, and Ken's like, no, I don't think we should ban anybody. I'm like, that's fine. It's like, I said, you know, it's basically, you can have a Invictus or me, and they went with Invictus. So, okay. I didn't make a big deal about it. I'm just like, you know what? Definitely a sign to fucking cut that shit off. Like,
technically, you're the one hosting it. You're the one who's put on the thing. Isn't that a private property issue?
Yeah, well, see, but then it's like, well, it's a hotel, and then the convention organizer, who had been a friend up until this point, Steve Sheets, came out and said, well, if you're not going to allow him into the hospitality suite, then we'll have to have another hospitality suite. And, like it was all a big clusterfuck, but to me, it was so crystal clear. I'm like, no, I'm not hosting a party for a fucking fascist motherfucker, like I'm just not doing it. Like I've tolerated quite a bit, but I no, at some point, like, no. And, the correct thing to do would have been to just stick by that. Right.
Right.
Fuck it. Yeah, we have free association, and we don't want to fucking associate with fucking people like that. No, not welcome. Get the fuck out. Right. Not happening. Right.
It is a freedom association, criteria. Right. I mean, if I don't feel comfortable around, certain people that don't fit my criteria, I don't want them around.
And then, but and I started thinking about like, wow, has Ken really just been a fucking he's been this kind. I mean, I've always just thought of him as kind of like a Moochie friend. You know what I mean? Like just the people that are always, they're always hanging around, but they never, they never pay to go into the libertarian event. You know what I mean? They're like I pay to go into my own events, just because I try to set an example for everybody, right? No, he would never do anything like that. But just a cheapskate. Anyway, I was just like, what? That's it though. Fuck it. Not gonna fucking pretend that anyway. But whatever. I've especially with the whole rise of like the cryptocurrency libertarian scene.
Mm-hmm.
So much more interesting than the fucking than the political libertarian scene. I mean,
I need to try to get like Sarah Blinko back on, or Megan Tellison, or some of those cats back on the show, because I mean, we've always showed them a little love on the Beer and Bullshit show, so why not?
Yeah, I don't know if MK's doing any like Bitcoin themed stuff anymore. She was for a long time, but I don't know.
So I know Sarah's still at it. Sarah Blinko. We've had her on the show.
Yeah, she was gonna be at the there was a New Hampshire crypto event I went to back in December. She was going to be. She had initially been advertised as a speaker, but then something like it was changed. But I was hoping to see her. But the people in this scene, they're building stuff to get around the state. They're not like trying to vote on shit. It's just like it's so much more innovative and computer programmer type engineering people and money people, business people.
Right.
People that it's just like these are the people I want to surround myself with. People that are really achieving greatness and really, like I want to surround myself with greatness because it rubs off. It's like if you surround yourself with losers, you know, it doesn't push you to your full capability. So
Right.
anyway, that's
Hey,
why
I
I've cut
understand.
loose. I've cut loose a lot of that scene because, and I did the same thing on Facebook. Unfollow, unfollow, unfollow. If somebody says something stupid, unfollow. Boring as
Yeah.
hell, unfollow. Stupid, unfollow. Somebody's chicken dinner, unfollow. Just. And I've whittled it down to like a cool news feed. So
Right. I've unfriended and unfollowed a lot of people. I mean, I think I'm under 2,000 for the first time since I've had Facebook. So, because when I started having Facebook, I started adding a lot of people, and then and then a lot of people were just they turned out to be fake libertarians. I was just like, wow, how could you goose step and still be a libertarian? It's just like, really? What libertarian fascism? I mean, it doesn't make sense.
but yet they try.
Yeah, they try.
Like libertarian socialism doesn't make any sense either. But
Yeah,
there he is. Rent is theft.
Yeah, it's just like,
okay, dude.
I was just like, I'm like, how can you advocate, violence when you say it's voluntary? I was just huh? How is violence voluntary? It's just like,
they come up with some seriously fucked up gymnastics to try to justify how this is technically self-defense somehow. Like, well, because we pay taxes and because the taxes were stolen from us and used to pay for roads, we have this collective ownership over roads, and the collective has decided that Mexican tomato pickers have to be stopped by a wall. And then like,
yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
it's
just like, it's like it's like there's these so-called Hoppians or whatever, okay, advocating, okay, well, we're gonna take over a neighborhood, and if this particular neighbor doesn't want to abide by our rules, okay, then we have the right to voluntarily force them out of their homes. And I'm like, really? Voluntary and forced? Those are two totally different freaking sides of the coin.
I don't think Hop ever advocated that, but his followers, most of them haven't read Hoppe. So
I was like, really?
Hey,
wait,
check it out. Speaking of, see if you can see this. Can you read this? Let me see if my screen is up here. Wait a minute.
libertyinthepub.com.
Can you see the face of the dude?
Yeah.
That's Hans Hermann Hoppe right there. And yeah, it's let's see if the other, I don't know if you can read it. It's the Hans Hermann Hoppe Sobrietal Removal Service. So yeah, craft beer and liberty. Anyway, they brewed a beer called the Hans Hermann Hoppe, and it had that was the logo on there. His face on a bud of hops, which is pretty fun. But he's probably not half as bad as the people that claim to follow his teachings. But
right. Right.
He said some pretty fucked up shit though, and that whole shit that he got into with Chase Rachels was hilarious. Holy shit! Oh man!
Did you see the original the original cover?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh fuck.
Oh my! I was just like, a lot of people lost their shit over that.
Oh man, what a bunch of everyone at Mises went into cover your ass mode, right?
Yeah.
They erased him from the Mises website pronto. They're all calling Hans like, dude, don't do it, don't. It's but he knew the title of the book and he wrote the foreword. You can't say it was because of the cover.
Right.
When it was called White, Right, and Libertarian, I mean,
yeah.
Holy shit. I can't believe this stuff actually exists. You know, it really makes me like, you know, on one hand, you want to like condemn it and discredit it because it's confusing enough to tell people what libertarianism is. To see something like that circulated from just a sort of a branding and a point of view is just horrible. It's like, oh, you know, so you want to denounce it because it's so fucked up and completely wrong, but that just brings the attention to it. So it's like, what do you?
And it kind of you know distorts the the message. Like I get people who are like, what is libertarian, and you get like 50,000 different definitions of what freaking libertarian is because they find 50,000 different things about libertarianism. And it's just like,
I don't want them to see that though. You know, like if somebody's curious about libertarianism and they saw that, right? Like, oh, it would be an immediate turnoff to
right.
Who we need to understand libertarianism. They might be like, oh, that's what libertarianism is. Oh yeah, I'm against that. And completely, you know, and never have a chance, you know. But it's almost like, I mean, let's just say you were someone on the far left, like Rachel Maddow or something like that, and you really wanted to fuck with libertarians, right? Like you really wanted to discredit them. Like creating a guy like Chase Rachels to just go out there and say this shit, like to just ruin the brand, you know, just go out there and be an asshole and call yourself libertarian. I mean, if people did that on purpose, they wouldn't do as good a job as Chase Rachels has done.
Right.
So, yeah. You know, who was otherwise nobody, you know, until he gets this controversy.
Right. It's messed up.
I just thought it was particularly hilarious though, because what it really did is it called out the Mises for supporting somebody who's, you know, for what, you know, I don't expect Mises to have to, you know, scrutinize every view of everyone who writes on their site. I mean, there's some other fucked up shit too, like who's the libertarian Taliban? Gary North.
Gary North, yes.
Yeah, he wants to like stone children and shit. Like, okay. Some pretty weird shit in there, but typically, but you know, they did the right thing and they scrubbed him. They're like, nope, we're not going to be involved in that. So, but the release from, did you read the statement from Hoppe after that?
Nuh-uh.
He put out a 2-sentence explanation, and it said, oh, there's a controversy because I was asked to write a foreword to a book about the right and libertarianism, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Mm-hmm. And I did initially write a foreword, but I rescinded my permission to use it, you know, basically explaining that. But I just thought it was funny that he called it was a book about the right and libertarianism. But the title was about 3 things, but one of them was specifically left out of his, not apology, but definitely like did not want to draw attention to the fact that he had agreed to write this forward for an obvious, like, you know, ethno-nationalist title. Well, I don't know what the book was actually about, but you know, he was flagged.
Right.
You know, which is sad because, you know, I'm sure the dude is brilliant and, you know, a lot of his work is, you know, is very interesting, but anyway, I don't know. Chase Rachels. Anyway, that's all I got. I'm running out of steam and I don't have any more beer with me at the moment. So
yeah, it's all good. We can end here.
All right, dude.
We can end here. All right. Thanks a lot, Jim Bab. Hopefully see you in about 3 weeks.
All right, let's do it, bud.
By the way, I got a kid that turns 17 in 2 weeks.
Don't introduce her to Arvin Vora. I didn't make that joke. I'm sorry, Arvin. Sorry. then I'm not saying that. I don't make those jokes. Anyway, but congratulations. My daughter turns 15 and the other 12 imminently. So
yep. I've got a 19-year-old and a soon to be 17-year-old. So
you're almost done with parenting, dude.
No,
Dude,
you're never done with parenting.
Dude,
you're never done with parenting.
It becomes optional at a certain point.
Well, yeah, but you're really never done.
Yeah, but you get to decide. See what I'm saying? Like, you're no longer obligated. So
true.
But of course,
all
you
right.
would never. Anyway, all right. Catch you later.